Panogitsa moru puritanonda kantai mantunat nyagitoru ilugar para honra para gloria abibai islasen para honra para gloria abibai islasen para kitodui tempui pas para ita dan gini langit na bendition contrai peligro na fansafuham Deus protege Island Guam contrai peligro na fansafuham Deus protege Island Guam. I just got the news today. Things will never be the same. Things will never be the way it was just the other day. They told me it'd take my life without even a chance to try. I'm not even gonna question why. I just know it's my time to fight. We'll never give up, never stay down. Stand back up, put your feet on the ground. We all know we must fight to survive. So live life alive.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
They told us she had only days.
New self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Why she just knew it was time to fight. We'll never give up.
Hafaday Guam, Adriana Cotero here, and I am currently reporting from home. And I encourage every single person in this community to stay.
So live life alive, it's alright. Never give up, never stay down. Stand back up, put your feet on the ground. We all know.
Good morning, Guam.
We must fight to survive.
Oh, let me do that again. Good morning, Guam. 6:14. It is Friday. Viva Betness. Friday. Had to get that out here. Good morning, Sabrina.
Good morning.
Yep. Mute-free radio. Right here. 6:14 is the KUAM News takeover of Guam's favorite.
It's going to be that kind of day, huh?
I mean, it's going to be that kind of year, the way I look at it. Yes, good morning on you, and good morning to everyone who's catching the show. Of course, right here on the radio where it all began, it's Guam's favorite. We're KUAM FM in Agotni, Guam, 93.9 FM. There's also a audio stream, Docomo Channel 10. We're streaming live at KUAM.com and the KUAM News app. And 8 o'clock, we jump on KUAM TV 11. We bring you the last couple hours of the show, and last but definitely not least, good morning, Guam, CNMI, and beyond, to our Facebook Live viewers and listeners at KUAM News' Facebook page. Good morning. Keep your questions, comments coming.
No, I was just going to say it's Friday.
It is Friday, yeah.
I can't believe it. We made it.
It was a long week.
Yeah.
It's been a long quarantine, guys. It's been a It's the first of the month. A lot of people waking up this morning thinking about paying rent. And so we're going to, unpack. There's so much. Oh, my God. There's just so much I wanted to put in an extra 4 hours today just to get through all of it, but we're going to try and squeeze everything we got into the next 3 hours and 45 minutes. So let's get right to it. As we always do when we start the show, we take a deep dive into the day's COVID-19 news from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Matanani.
Half a day and good morning, everyone. According to the latest from the Joint Information Center released just before midnight last night, a total of 232 individuals were tested, with one testing positive. The results include samples from clinics, hospital, quarantine, and samples from Estumbo and from Mangilau. Everyone who has been swabbed can expect to be notified of their results within 24 to 48 hours after samples were taken. Notification will come from either their provider if samples were taken in a clinic or hospital, or by public health care staff if samples were taken during the expanded testing. To date, there are now 146 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on Guam, 5 deaths, and 131 recoveries. Community testing in the meantime resumes today for Southern residents and at the Agate Senior Center between 1 to 4 p.m. The testing is free to anyone experiencing COVID symptoms. Guam's economy could begin to reopen by May 9th. That is the target date mentioned by the governor and a recovery advisory panel as they unveiled the 4-phase Calon para Hinimlu, or Road to Recovery plan. The plan's phases are called Pandemic Conditions of Readiness. Terms we're all too familiar with from past storms through the coronavirus is much different from any super typhoon we've been through. The governor says certain criteria must be met before we can move from the current PCOR 1 to PCOR 2. The governor saying, quote, 1, we must have 2 weeks of consistent decline in the number of COVID-19 positives. 2, we must have an adequate hospital capability to treat new cases as they arise. 3, we must have the capacity to test people with COVID-19 symptoms. And 4, we must have the ability to contact trace efficiently and effectively. The current 14-day window began on April 25th. An advisory panel lead, Dr. Ricky Hernandez of GITA, laid out the list of businesses that would be allowed to open. If the criteria continues to be met, the next milestone date for further relaxed openings would be 28 days later, when we would go into pandemic condition of Readiness 3. Nestor Lecanto asked about the recovery plan and what it means for the tourism industry.
If all goes well, we're looking at going to PCOR 2 on May 9th, and then 28 days after that, if all goes well, PCOR 3, which would essentially be the day that we're able to restart tourism, accepting visitors. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I think to set the expectation is that PCOR 3 and the determination for that is really based upon all of those items that we talked about from PCOR 1 to 2, but what might drive that is the testing capacity. And so that without that testing capacity, I think in terms of being able to achieve that PCOR level, we should probably set the expectation appropriately. Also,
right.
There's also some. There may also be some considerations moving forward when we get to PCOR 3 that we may not have seen or foreseen today, and so this plan is very flexible in terms of what may occur in each of the PCOR levels, and so hopefully that will. When that time comes, we'll be able to know more than what we know now and make a better informed decision.
Okay, so my first question is, if we falter in any way before that June 7th date, does that restart the clock?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. And the recovery panel of advisors and as well as the physician advisory group had discussed what may occur in terms of if we regress or we things don't continue to get better. And I believe that those circumstances as they arise is something that we're going to be closely monitoring. And I think there isn't any specific guidelines in terms of how to move back, but we're also ensuring that those things, as the data shows, and as hospitalization information occurs during these different PCOR level periods, those decisions will be made at the appropriate time. But the guidelines are moving from PCOR 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and if in the event there needs to be a move backwards in PCOR levels, those decisions obviously will be made when the data shows that.
During her press briefing, reminds that it's up to the public to adhere to the guidance, otherwise it will set back the recovery plan. She noted people may not be social distancing, people may not be decreasing their contact, they may not be following the quantities of social gatherings. So those are the things we would look at, and if we feel that a measure is not being met, then we are going to go back and reintroduce that measure. Speaker Tina Munoz-Barnes has called for session for Tuesday, May 5th. Senator Therese Terlahi requested for the session in order to override the governor's veto of Bill 333, which was passed unanimously. The legislation relates to the rapid and transparent implementation of federal and local assistance programs related to COVID-19. In the speaker's response, she said she stands ready to support Terlahi's efforts to ensure transparency and restore the public's trust in our government. She is calling session for Tuesday, May 5th at 10 o'clock in the morning. The Committee on Rules, in the meantime, on Thursday, approved a resolution to temporarily change their standing rules to allow them to conduct legislative business virtually. Also, during the press conference prior to its start, the governor's communications director, Janela Carrera, sent a memo that the press conference was about the recovery plan and told media to keep questions relevant to the plan. But that didn't stop island media from asking other questions, such as the status of federal aid and the controversial supposed one-night stay of the governor's chief of staff, Tony Babalta, at Quarantine Hotel Pacific Star. Here's the questions asked by reporters from PDN, The Post, and KUAM's Adriana Cotero, who were shut down by the governor's communications director.
Can we just get an update on the federal relief benefits? Where are we with that? I mean, people are asking, when can they avail of these things? I'm sure Jasmine, you get it every day.
Jasmine, I made it very clear that we're going to stick with the COVID recovery efforts. So if you
sure.
Thank you.
I wanted to hear just a little bit, Governor, if you could talk about the role of some of those, the members on that recovery panel who's worked hard to put this together. And specifically, I want to ask, what was the role of your Chief of Staff, Tony Babalta, who yesterday we heard was placed in or had to stay the night at the quarantine facility because he wasn't feeling well, and has he been tested?
Again, Nick, we have to stay at the topic.
The topic is again in regards to the role of one of the members, the Chief of Staff, and then on that note, the update in regards to his stay over at the Pacific Star, because a lot of people find that very questionable. Although he might have had good intentions, there's still the question out there of
Nick, and we as I understand, Crystal did respond to you earlier that we would be providing you with a written response to that question. Thank you.
So the role?
We're going to go to Mariana's Business Journal next.
Governor, according to documents obtained by KUAM, the Pacific Star Hotel charged public health $544,600 for the use of 389 hotel rooms for 2 weeks from March 23rd to April 5th. Meaning at that rate, public health would have paid over $1.6 million for the use of the hotel for the last 6 weeks. We also know by researching yours and Lieutenant Governor's campaign finance documents that through the Guam Election Commission, the family who owns Pacific Star donated thousands of dollars to your campaign. This giving the appearance of political favoritism. So Public Auditor BJ Cruz told KUAM that through their emergency procurement and during this process for the pandemic, something they'll be looking very closely at is Hi, sorry, I wasn't finished.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so how would you answer any critics who say politics is playing a part in procurement during this public health emergency?
Okay, Adriana, as I said, we made it very clear that your questions need to stay relevant to the topic at hand. We're going to go to the next media.
Babalta called her and said he wasn't feeling well, and because he has elderly parents at home, he was allowed to spend the night on our dime. She couldn't say how long he was allowed to stay, but Carrera said it was just for one night. After the press conference, Carrera said each of the facilities used as quarantine sites were the only ones responsive to the government's request led by GHRA. Rooms were used at every hotel that responded to that request, provided each room was $100 or less, with linens and 3 meals a day. As to your second question, the quarantine facility must be managed on a 24/7 basis. 2 to 3 staffers work the site at any given point during the 24/7 period and are provided a room to rest.
Bree, I just want to provide some context here. I'm sorry to interrupt, but the second question, I know you just read off the response to the second question. Well, Adriana Cotero did not get to ask the second question. She was muted and then cut off after she asked the first question. Now, as you guys are very familiar, media gets one question and one follow-up question. So let me find that. Sorry, Bree.
No, the public has a right to know.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, here we go. Here was her second question. Public Health Director Linda DeNorsi tells KUAM your Chief of Staff, Tony Babauta, spent the night at Pacific Star because he wasn't feeling well, and your Communications Director said Babauta was cleared and assessed in the morning. This whole statement flies in the face of what media was told about the criteria and procedures for quarantining at GovGuam quarantine sites. Can you explain to the public why Babauta was allowed to sleep over at PacStar, and how many other cabinet members or administration officials have spent the night or are spending nights at that hotel or any GovGuam quarantine facilities? Because we have heard from sources in your administration that there are several.
And again, this was the response. As to your second question, the quarantine facility must be managed on a 24/7 basis. 2 to 3 staffers work the site at any given point during the 24/7 period and are provided a room to rest. The Guam Visitors Bureau this afternoon is hosting a webinar, A Moment to Help the Visitor Industry. The featured speaker is Department of Labor Director David Della Sola. Just last week, GVB launched a new awareness campaign extending Guam's holiday spirit to the world while encouraging everyone, including the island community and visitors in source markets, to stay home and stay safe. The campaign asks visitors to give us a moment as the island comes through the COVID-19 crisis. In news from the CNMI, United Airlines announced that on May 2nd, it will resume its Guam Saipan service. According to a media release, a United B-737 jet aircraft will operate 3 times weekly on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. United Flight UA-174 will depart Guam at 7:30 in the morning and arrive in Saipan at 8:11 a.m. The return flight will depart Saipan at 9:15 a.m. and arrive in Guam at 9:55 a.m. Quote, United is pleased to be able to resume the lifeline connection between the islands in times of emergency, as well as support the transport of critical medical equipment and supplies, perishable food items, and mail delivery for the residents of Saipan. The Guam Saipan route was temporarily suspended from April 6th to April 30th at the request of CNMI Governor Ralph Torres. Although the investigation was completed and cleared, USS Theodore Roosevelt Commander Captain Brett Crozier, Acting Navy Secretary James McPherson ordered a broader investigation into the COVID outbreak aboard the ship. McPherson saying, after carefully reviewing the preliminary inquiry into the events surrounding the COVID-19 outbreak, the Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Mike Gilday provided him with his recommendations. Following the discussion, I have unanswered questions that the preliminary inquiry has identified and that can only be answered by a deeper review. The Navy, in the meantime, has begun the process to return groups of sailors from the 2 quarantine hotels to the aircraft carrier. In national news, the White House announced the drug remdesivir has shown real promise as a treatment for coronavirus patients, but a bigger advancement will come when drug makers find a vaccine, and the Trump administration is taking steps to speed up that process. Natalie Brandt has more details from the White House.
The FDA is working on an emergency use authorization for the drug remdesivir to treat COVID-19 patients.
The data shows that remdesivir has a clear-cut, significant positive effect in diminishing the time to recovery.
Clinical trials in the U.S. show hospitalized patients who took the drug recovered in 11 days compared to 15 for those given a placebo, a 31% improvement.
Although a 31% improvement doesn't seem like a knockout 100%, it is a very important proof of concept.
CBS News has also learned the White House has launched Operation Warp Speed, an initiative to fast-track the manufacturing of leading vaccine candidates.
Don't wait to see which works or which wins the bake-off. Start making the lead candidates now, so when the data are there, the next day we can roll it out across the country. It's key to think forward.
For the third day in a row, President Trump is meeting with a state governor. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy visited the White House this morning. The president has been talking with governors about their plans to reopen states. Governor Murphy says he wants to discuss testing and financial assistance for states.
I know that he wants to talk about a number of issues, but he also wants to, he's saying, I'm going to reopen some golf clubs this weekend, for example, in New Jersey. We're going to slowly open different industries.
CBS News has confirmed a report that economic advisors on the Reopening Council sent a memo saying they believe these 9 states will lead an economic recovery. President Trump is scheduled to travel to one of those states, Arizona, next Tuesday. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, the White House.
His first trip outside of Washington, D.C. in 1 month. In your Banking 671 report, island residents who receive their stimulus checks are able to cash them even if you're not a member at the following banks: Bank of Guam, Bank of Hawaii, Bank Pacific, and First Hawaiian Bank. The Guam Bankers Association also reminds the public that to avoid waiting in lines, you can use ATMs. Also, for those of you who have no banking relationships, you may be asked to line up in a designated non-customer check cashing line and will need to provide 2 valid IDs. And that's your Banking 671 tip from Bank of Guam and Coast 360. And finally, Giving Tuesday is right around the corner. On Tuesday, May 5th, we're asking you to answer the call to help by taking part in Giving Tuesday Now. It is part of a global initiative setting aside this one day specifically for the pandemic crisis. We're asking that you give a donation to any of our island's nonprofit organizations, hospital, mayor's council, GFD, any of our frontline heroes. And when you do make your donation, to take a picture, post it on social media using the hashtag Giving Tuesday Now and Giving Tuesday Guam. Later that evening on May 5th, join us for a half-hour special showcasing how Guam gives. Christopher.
All right, thank you. Sabrina Salas, Matt Tanani, of course, with a deep dive into the day's COVID-19 news. Remember, we do that to start the show at 6 and again in the 8 o'clock hour. And just some of the people who are getting on today.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're going to get Dr. Tom Shea on a little bit later. He was part of that panel on the territories that was held yesterday. I think it was with Congressman San Nicolas, Congressman Kalili from the CNMI. There's Dr. Tom Shea, and it was basically organized around the federal aid and the CARES Act and just the COVID-19 response that the federal government has got going, and as far as in relation to the territory. So I know Tomas Magotnia has more on that. Also slated to get Dr. Ricky Hernandez of GITA. You know, you saw him there presenting the governor's recovery plan yesterday. Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio is also committed to do a call in here, and so is Charles Esteves from Homeland Security, Civil Defense, and Josh DeKenko from the Guam Visitors Bureau is coming on a little bit later. They're doing, what are they doing with GVB? There's something going on today?
Yeah, they're having a webinar today over Zoom, and so Department of Labor Director Dave Della Sola will be the featured speaker. I know Nestor is already signed up to do that, and then I think when I spoke with Josh yesterday, they plan on streaming it on Facebook.
All right, and then also from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, we're going to get Region 9 Director
on the show.
Yes, sorry, I'm looking for his name.
Menzel?
No,
No,
not
he's not the Region
Frank
9.
Menzel.
It's his boss.
Yeah, it is. Bob Fenton. So he's coming on around 8:45, which is really cool because, you know, we've had FEMA Frank on a couple times, but he's like the spokesperson. So he's like the Janela Carrera of FEMA, if you will, right? And so his boss, Region 9, we're going to get him on and find out, you know, what Gov Guam is doing, what they're asking for, what are we going to get reimbursed for. You know, it's time to start this conversation about, since we're talking about recovery, talk about, you know, accountability, transparency, spending, the legislature, they're going into session. There's a lot going on. And so let's kind of get it started here. We had him on the show, I think it was a couple weeks ago, from Partners, Mike Israel. I just wanted to bring you on here, Mike, to, I guess if we could just start with your reaction to the governor's recovery plan that was presented yesterday at the press conference. Did you get a chance to get some eyes on that, and what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I took a look at it. Hello, hi, Chris.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, it may have seemed like a couple weeks ago, but it was like a week ago.
I'm losing track of time. Dude.
I mean, time has just disappeared. I mean, we're in this Netherlands, this universe of unbelief where we sit around and we wait for other people outside of Guam to rescue us when we're perfectly capable of rescuing ourselves. We are literally tying ourselves and then turning around and says, please come save us. But the governor's plan, extremely disappointing. What are we waiting for? We have had almost zero. I mean, 1 or 2 positive tests here or there, nobody in the hospital. 6-8 weeks ago, we started with 25 in the hospital. We're now down to 5, 2, 1, 0. It's crazy. We are 250 beds sitting empty. Meanwhile, she wants to wait another 14 days. I mean, this plan was hatched back in Wednesday last week. 14 days, and then maybe she might let some places open, no restaurants. And again, the plan was not concrete. We still have no idea what it means. We're sitting around and it's sort of like a plan that was written by an academician sitting in a cave somewhere with no outside ideas of what the reality is. The reality of Guam is we're a hot, humid island. The COVID, to the extent there is any COVID on this island, is well under control. We have the peak resource capacity. That's what this is all about. We wanted to make sure that if we had the tens of thousands that these 2 doctors, who are the only ones that the governor seems to listen to, all those Zoom videos, she has the mute button. She doesn't let people talk.
Yeah,
I can't believe how you news people have just bent over for her and allow.
Oh, I don't think anybody's bending over for her over here.
Whoa there, Mike. Whoa. Yeah, we're not. We're going to these press conferences, Mike. We're asking the questions, and if they mute us, then so be it. We can't unmute ourselves, so we're definitely trying, and it's frustrating.
Let them know that she's not answering your questions. The Post had a question the other day. He goes, "Well, I don't think that's a valid question." Mute and move it on. And they only had one question. How do you? I mean, I can't believe that the media in general. You guys are the exception. That's why I love talking to you, Chris, because you're the one who has the nerve to call her out. Everyone else wants to be kind of. I mean, people are getting frustrated. The Post is starting to come out a little bit. PDN is still a mouthpiece. Ray Gibson's been talking about it for a while. We're starting to get frustrated. There's nothing. It's a huge nothing burger. In the meantime, the only legislation going on is how much more money do we spend that we don't have? So, no, very unimpressed with the plan. Why can't we start tomorrow? Why can't we start this today? Nothing in her plan really makes a whole lot of sense, but let's start. She doesn't want to start because once we retaste our freedom, it's going to be hard to put us back in the cage again.
Mm.
I mean, you're talking about this on the radio, but have you tried to talk to anybody on her economic advisory recovery panel? The Chamber of Commerce is on there. There's former Governor Carl Gutierrez, Joseph Bradley from the Bank of Guam. Have you spoke to any of them?
Yes, of course.
And what have they said?
Please keep they have said, quote, please keep my name out of it. They cannot know we're talking because we're under strict secrecy orders. And the moment you violate it, boom, you're out.
You're out. Yeah.
So the attitude is, okay, we'll bide our time. We'll sit here and nod our head. We won't necessarily be in support of it. That's why the 2 vocal guys, Dr. Cruz and Dr. Cabrera, are the ones who control everything. The doctors, she has a whole doctors committee. And I'm like, why are you people not speaking out? I mean, I'm talking to a lot of doctors. I don't make this stuff up. I mean, Guam's a very small place. Our coconut telegraph is very strong.
Well,
and the doctors agree with what I'm saying.
No, yeah, they're definitely
pick me off the committee. And if I'm out of the committee, I can't at least try to guide it.
Well, we've been served the nothing burger, as you put it. How are you going to eat it? And how are you going to... I mean, this is what you're getting. What are you going to do?
How do we turn this lemon into Finadeni?
Yeah.
All right. She's got 2.5 years. She's got to get out of jail card for 2.5 years. We can't touch her for 2.5 years. Okay? But the legislature's coming up. They've got 6 months and in 5 months. When's November? Again, the alternative reality, 6 months. We got 6 months. And in 6 months, they're going to have to start explaining to the people of Guam why they allowed our island to fall into total economic chaos where nobody's working. I mean, she was very protective during the presentation of her plan. When somebody asked her one of the hard questions or something, she was, we have to. They were saying, well, what about furloughing some GovGuam workers like Hawaii and other places have done? Because our new reality is we have a much more diminished economy. And it was like, oh no, we have to protect the GovGuam workers. We have to make sure they're paid, and to the extent they're taking risks, we have to pay them even more. And I'm looking at it saying, what about 60% of the rest of the island that's sitting here with no money? How come no one wants to protect us? And we're the ones who give them the money to spend in the first place. And what's going to happen is the big sucking sound. We are going to have an economic decline like there's no tomorrow. And we could stop it. We could start now. Let's start loosening up. We have the hospital resources, 250 beds sitting empty. The only place that's making any kind of coin is GRMC. And of course, their two doctors are urging the status quo. Keep this place locked down because so long as the order is in place, they've got all the business on Guam.
Right.
Because everyone else is waiting for the COVID patients, which don't exist.
Mike, what about this? We had Simon on the other day, and he kind of proposed it as a chicken and the egg argument is you reopen now, nobody's got money to go out and go to these businesses. But, I mean, again, if you don't reopen, how do you restart the economy? So how do you kind of balance those two trains of thought?
You know, it's not for the government. We are a free people. Let us be free. Believe it or not, when she says reopen, a lot of places are not reopening. But those that want to reopen, let them. Thank them for stepping forward. We have to get reopened. Here's the situation. Our real golden goose, our nest egg, our future relies on tourism. We are a tourist-driven economy. That and also begging money from Uncle Sam, which I really do not like. I'm a proud person. I want to make my own money. I don't want it coming from Uncle Sam. I like it when Guam is able to be self-supporting. So those people have to want to come to Guam. And we need to show them that we're open and that everything is fine here. And they're going to want to see that. So if we don't do it now, because right now, you open tomorrow, there'll be very little additional economic activity. It'll take a while. Give it the 30 days, she keeps saying, but we have to start now. What she's done is in her plan, 14 more days. In 14 days, she'll find another excuse to delay again, and another excuse. Because it's always easy to say, let's freeze.
Mm-hmm. So then if
Meanwhile, they're running out of money.
So if you were the chef and you had this nothing burger, what would you do to turn it into a Whopper? And what would be your plan? What would be your plan?
My game plan is this. There are airplanes sitting empty right now all over the world. The rest of the world is starting to wake up that this has been a big fraud. This whole COVID thing, it was way overblown. You know, they're waking up to that. So now there's a race to reopen. And if we are slow, we're going to be on the back end of it. And those airplanes are going to be diverted away. Right now, if we open up, the airlines will go ahead and allocate airplanes to us, even though they're empty, because they're empty everywhere. But as the other places open, we're in a competitive world. We have to compete with the rest. Half of the United States now is on reopening phase, 25 states out of 50. Now, of course, we know who the 25 who don't want to open. They have Democrat governors and all. But we don't have that luxury. We don't have enough money to support to continue to do this, to make a point about something, which I don't understand. But we need to open now so they'll want to come and do business with us. And if we're open and we show the rest of the world that our COVID issue is under control, we don't have people, we don't have massive influx. Maybe we're all things. And then if there is a problem, we can always shut it down. It's very easy. I mean, she shut us down in a matter of 3 days. She canceled the entire Guam economy. We went from a 60% occupancy to 0 in 5 days. So I don't know what she's really worried about. So we need to do is open up and then watch and monitor. I approve of the idea of going out and testing. Of course, I don't know why she's so obsessed with it has to be an FDA-approved test. Geez, it's a Cadillac or nothing. Come on, this is Guam. We drive Toyotas.
Your gout medicine isn't FDA approved.
I know. I mean, what is FDA? FDA is not it's not a pharmaceutical company. They rarely approve anything. They just simply say, it's safe, it's good enough. They don't actually stamp approval. I mean, even now, right now, if you want to fly into Guam without the 14-day quarantine, which some people are doing, and they're getting waivers, the official way is you have to go get a certificate from a WHO or CDC approved laboratory or something.
Right.
Nobody even knows if those exist. Meanwhile, we've got COVID tests all over the place. But no, we can't look at those. We're only going to look. I mean, the plans are draconian. If you loosen up a little bit, we could see where things are going. But you keep everything locked down, and we're not going to know where we are. We're staying in the darkness. So my plan is just open up. Now, there are some places like maybe theaters and stuff like that you may want to say, okay, or other states. Look at what other states are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Mike. The examples are definitely there in terms of what to reopen and how to reopen. And, you know, look at where we're at now is, you're right, the governor wants to keep us locked down for the time being. But what's happening is you're getting the church. The church wrote letters saying, hey, can we reopen and we'll do social distancing, we'll do the masks, we'll jump through all your hoops. They were roundly rejected, so we spoke with the Archbishop yesterday, and he said, you know what, we're just going to do it. We're going to do the sacraments. We're just going to follow their guidelines about PPEs and social distancing, and we're going to do it. So, I mean, if the church is already like, you know what, yeah, you're fine, go over there, we're going to do what we got to do. I'm wondering if we're going to start to see some, you know, I mean, God, rebel businesses, maybe. No, we're going to, you know.
We're in a tough position. See, you try to shut down the church, what's the worst you can do? Put their minister in jail? Oh, that's going to really be bad. In the state,
that public health's going to come lock up Father Paul for saying mass.
I know, that's going to be really bad. No, the worst they're going to do is give him an order, slap a GPS tracker on him, and say, don't do it again. If you're a business, on the other hand, the reason why she was so successful in yanking everybody out, just shutting things down, was if you violate, they yank your business license. Once they yank your business license, it will take you months to years to get it back. Because the bureaucracy on Guam, one, it's closed. So that was a very, very effective threat.
And then they were also telling people to call it in. They were like, hey, call it in our snitch line. And
yeah, that didn't work out too well in New York for de Blasio, huh? That was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
He made a snitch line. You take a photo of somebody doing something wrong, and you send it to her, right? Or to de Blasio, him. And people were taking pictures of themselves, giving the finger to de Blasio and sending it to one snitch line. New Yorkers, they're pretty tough people.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Thanks for your 2 cents. Was that 2 cents?
Please, everybody, urge the legislature. We can shut this. We can shut this insanity tomorrow. 8 people. Only 8 people need to vote.
Right on. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
There you go. Mike Israel, Tenota Partners. Let's keep it over here and get Dr. Akimoto on because I feel like he's got something to say. Good morning, Doc.
Hi, good morning, Chris. Sorry to interrupt your show, but we did just get some news again about developments regarding coronavirus. And one of the, efforts that has been made by the medical community is to reach out to experts around our region to try to get a perspective on how Guam's experience might be more similar to communities in the Pacific, in Asia, as we kind of worry about what direction we need to go. We're using a lot of curves and data that come from Washington, from New York, on the East Coast of the United States. But on Wednesday of next week, a call out has been made to the doctors of the Guam medical community to attend a international coronavirus symposium being hosted by the Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs and led by the Taiwan Adventist Hospital medical team. And so doctors on Guam were to have confirmed their attendance yesterday to attend this international teleconference. And it looks like a good number of the doctors on Guam will be attending to listen to how Taiwan as a community has done a job of protecting their people from this virus and maintaining their economy open. Among the questions that we're going to be looking for is how do they allow for more social interaction? How do they allow for people to go to church, to pray, to go to school, to do the more normal things that we in the United States seem very stuck right now, not being able to do. So unless things have changed over the last 24 hours since you and I last spoke, we need some guidance from people that actually live in our
hemisphere.
And so that's the news, and I think there's been a number of people that have confirmed their attendance.
How many doctors are going to be attending this symposium? And second part of the question is, what do you think we can take away from how Taiwan has fared against COVID-19?
Well, so number one, it looks like a large number of doctors are slated to attend, but again, this is a teleconference, so none of the doctors, as far as I know, are going to be giving any presentations. We're going to be hosted by the Taiwan government, and apparently there will be a large number of, government officials who will be also attending. I don't know if they'll be speaking. It does look like the governor of Guam and the speaker of the Guam legislature have both confirmed their attendance, and many of the doctors on our island, including Dr. Nguyen, who's the president of the American Medical Center and the head of the Physician Advisory Committee, has confirmed his attendance. And this is a teleconference, so no one's physically going to Taiwan. I guess the reason why we're excited about this, but also informing the public, is, as we try to figure out what to do today, right? Everybody's concerned about today and certainly tomorrow. We're not out of the woods yet, and we do want to get out of there, and we're looking for all the solutions. But the information, a lot of that we're using and the things we're paying attention to are going on in time zones many thousands of miles away from us. We're listening to people that are struggling in their home states, and they have to pay attention to the things that are relevant to them. We need to do the same. This weekend, today, right now, our hospitals are in trouble, right? The Guam Regional Medical Center has been on divert mode for the last 3 days because of heart attacks and strokes. We need to be very careful as a community not to think that coronavirus is the problem. This weekend, the problem is you bozos eating yourself into a heart attack. It's you guys running into telephone poles because you drank too much alcohol.
Yeah, but is it the governor's office muting reporters and giving me anxiety, stressing me out? Is that part of the equation too? I had to do some deep breathing last night, Doc, after I rewatched that press conference.
I saw that, and it looks like those guys were robbing a bank. It was.
I know, with the masks and just sitting there, it reminded me of like the Middle East when they get those guys and they get in the little videos and everyone's just sitting there with their masks, not saying anything, and
then somebody's head gets chopped off. Yeah, I think that was.
The media's head got chopped off, but.
Yeah, I think you guys should stage a protest. It looks like though the Catholic Church is going to do that this morning. I understand there might be some civil disobedience going on. So yeah, as we go into this weekend where there are cracks showing in, I think, our community's patience regarding this lockdown and the, the plans for the near future, and I'm not condoning it, right? I'm not saying that this is a good idea to enforce a draconian lockdown and violate people's civil liberties, nor am I saying that it's a great idea to just open up and then not know what our medical capacity is.
Right. Yeah.
And certainly I'm not saying that it's a great idea to somehow be disrespectful to our military neighbors who have brought a tremendous amount of military medicine resource and have indicated that they are our neighbors and that they will help us if the problems arise. I think that we should look at all the situations we're in and be very careful not to assume that we know better and then don't have a really good plan on what we're going to do next week, right? So the conference with Taiwan on Wednesday gives us a chance to speak to people who have been living it longer than we have. The Taiwan people responded back in January. The Taiwan people suffered through this back in January, and they've been watching China like a hawk because they suffered through SARS, and China doesn't really like them, and China is 81 miles away from Taipei. So these people know what they're talking about. And not a lot of them have died. Not a lot of them have really gotten sick. They're still struggling to figure out what to do, but the economy is way more open than ours. And now they're reaching out to us to say, hey, look, if you need some advice, we'll help you. So they're being generous enough, and we're taking that as such because we're not getting charged. As far as I know, none of the physicians or anybody else who's participating is getting charged. And we've seen that Taiwan has actually helped other international communities with both material supplies as well as professional guidance and help. So we're calling on the people of Guam to be patient. Don't eat yourself into a stroke or a heart attack.
So Doc, you said that GRMC is on divert, right? Right? You said they're on divert?
Exactly. They've been on divert for the last 3 days, and if you remember, they were on divert back in January and February because we've always had this problem. Our hospitals have been pushed to the limit just by our non-communicable diseases. Coronavirus is just the latest problem.
So we're sending patients that want to go into the ER at GRMC, but because they're so busy and they're overloaded, we're sending these patients over to GMH, the
and then
designated COVID hospital.
Right, the GMH guys are trying their best to accommodate, so they're seeing more heart attacks and strokes than they are coronavirus patients, which may be an okay thing, but if the concern is that the surge is coming, that's why we're going to extend the lockdown for another month. This is not a good deal because GMH has to be ready for the surge.
Right.
And I think one of the cracks that's really showing is that it looks like the Teddy Roosevelt is leaving, and it's a good possibility that the government of Guam is not interested in any more ships coming, and so those military medicine people are going to leave. And at that point, I would say Guam is in a really bad situation where we're not capable at this point in time with our limited human medical resources, particularly since the DOE nurses walked off the job, and I sure hope they're not getting paid to stay home today because they were threatened with their license being removed if they didn't do their job, and they're not doing their job. They're not helping at the hospital. Right?
Wait, so the DOE nurses threatened to walk off the job?
The union claims that they were being violated their human rights because they didn't get a 13-week orientation to help people fight coronavirus at GRMC, and they didn't want to work at GMH. And so now they're, I think, washing cars in the parking lot over public health. But that's not what RNs do. RNs take care of sick people. And generally, if they have to work in a hospital, they figure out how to do that. They don't ask for a 13-week orientation. So I would insist that public servants who don't work, who don't serve the public, don't get paid. But yeah, we're going to fight different fights through the week. The big fight is not to maybe completely lose patience with the government's ability to try to figure out how to do things. And as they sit patiently to wait for the media to ask the appropriate question, then we should too wait patiently to see if they'll give us the appropriate answers, particularly after we all talk to Taiwan, where, trust me, those people fight with each other too, if you've ever seen their legislature.
Yeah.
I wanted to backtrack on something you said. You said that the government wasn't interested in taking any more ships. Are you hearing that there was another possibility that another ship would be coming to Guam?
The Reagan, right?
There are 26 ships in the Pacific Fleet that have sailors with coronavirus on it, including, I think, the Frank Cable, which is parked down in Harbor. With some very old merchant marines who have high blood pressure and gout. But we understand that the Ronald Reagan is parked in Japan, and Japan is in a public health state of emergency, and I think they want the Ronald Reagan to get the hell out. But I mean, I'm just suggesting that we have right now on Guam probably more ICU capabilities because of military medicine, and also because the Guam Memorial Hospital medical team has done such a tremendous job of bolstering what we have. We have probably more ICU capabilities in order to deal with the surge than most American communities, period. We may have actually as many ICU capabilities per person on Guam at this point in time as Germany. And Germany is doing very, very well handling coronavirus, and they've done a good job of reopening their economy. So if you just want to talk about this from an economic standpoint, today would have been the best day to open up the churches because, right now the military is spending most of the money to help keep, and the federal government to help us stay open. I think we talked a little bit about this yesterday.
Yeah. But Doc, but I know that the governor had said that because she's, BFS with the admiral, that after Roosevelt left, that those military assets that you're talking about were going to remain on Guam to assist us in our COVID-19 response. Is there something that we don't know? Has that changed?
I think that what they meant is they might leave the tents up for a while and they might leave all the machines, but certainly I think all the people are going to go home if there's no aircraft carrier here, and so it'll be like the Jigo amusement park roller coaster, or any
Memories.
that the government of Guam gets, where they don't have a plan on how to use it and they don't have personnel that are willing to get less than 13 weeks of orientation to show up and work. I mean, keeping their military assets, the physical assets, would be like having DOE nurses. They don't get the job done.
And the governor just toured the Expeditionary Medical Facility this week. The pictures are all posted on the Joint Region Marianas Facebook page. And even Dr. Mike Cruz, he met with some special task force of that the military has. I think they're from somewhere else, not from here. And I believe it is like a team of physicians and nurses.
Yeah, they're here, and these are people. These are doctors and nurses from around the country. They're being taken away from their home, their homes, to take care of us. It is, I think, a hardship that they're not going to extend very long if there are no sailors, on aircraft carriers here. I don't know what the governor has told Joint Region Marianas, but I think from the medical community side, their being here helps us, and if they've agreed, and they will be good neighbors and help us if we need the help. I'm not saying that they're going to do our jobs. I'm just saying that them physically being here and capable of helping us certainly should be counted as an asset and something that should be valued. I mean, if anything, we just should be thankful, that they're here, and hopefully, again, there isn't a negative message being sent out by people in Adelup who are trying to negotiate maybe a better situation. This is maybe about as good as it gets if they're going to be good neighbors. We need ICU capabilities with ICU nurses and doctors. We don't need tents.
Yeah. Okay, Doc, we got to run. It's top of the hour.
Thank you.
Thanks,
okay, Doc. Dr. Vince Akimoto. Let's keep it on the phones here and go to Mungie Town, where Mayor Alan Gata, you had a great turnout yesterday for the community testing at Mangilao. Congratulations.
Hey, yeah. Good morning. Yeah. We did, I believe, that we counted about 242, so it was really amazing to find out that there was a lot of interest that took place yesterday within the central part of the community. So, I believe it's very successful, and I thank everyone that played a big part and role in yesterday's testing.
Mayor, how many people did you have come out for the testing?
Well, I can't identify which districts came out, but I know we had a good number. I saw a couple of our residents, so it was a really beautiful turnout. It ran smooth. Everything was, professionally, man, it was clean. No, I didn't have not thus far any complaints.
Right. So you didn't hear if anyone was turned away. How was it though? Remember, you were telling us that you really wanted everyone to get tested. So I know you were there at the line helping facilitate things, but is that kind of what you saw? Did everyone who wanted to be tested get tested?
Yes, sir. I have, like I said, to my knowledge, because my staff too has played an active role, and like I said, we've done our own numbers too, as well as the cars, people that came in. So we didn't see anybody, not even any walkers for that matter, turned around for any reason.
Nice. So are all the results? And then I guess as we had some yesterday, there's only one positive. Bree, was that it?
Yes, one positive.
Is that from yesterday? Per se, yesterday.
Some are from Stumbo, some are from quarantine. It doesn't say where the one.
Yeah. Well, that's where we might be, like I said, want a little bit more concerned. I've also found out that some people want to, I guess, bring it down to which parts of the community, but at the same token, we don't have that information.
Well, actually, on the dashboard, it keeps track of the confirmed cases and on.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
But not like
it was down this morning when I went to check it, but if you go there, I mean, if you know what the current count is, and then it goes up by one, then you'll know.
Well, yeah, that's what's affecting there, Bree. You're right, but in terms of, I think the question there is maybe some of the constituents are probably inquiring what community in terms of.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I know that's what the mayor said requested when you first met, right, with DeNorcy.
Yeah.
correct.
And so you're saying that you still haven't gotten that information.
Well, that's what one of the some of the consensus on like the chats are saying. If you notice with the informational feedback, but for the most part, the greater part, and I'm really thank God at least with a benchmark like 240 some for just one day for 3 hours. I think that's a pretty good number. And then
just keep in mind though, that's only 232. You don't know if all 200 are from. Because it includes clinics, hospital quarantine samples, Estero, Manila. So it could be 50. But what I heard, there was a lot of people that turned out.
Oh, yes. Good.
Would you say it was more than 200?
Well, I know we could counting cars by the cars, 100 some cars, and then we get multiple people in the vehicles, and then also the walk up. So I know there's like about numbers in so far that I heard was about 240. They had 450 test kits prepared for the event, the outreach.
Well, just the way they're releasing or how many they're testing. I mean, I thought we had the capability to do more testing.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But hey, 200 is not bad.
Not bad. Baby steps, Mayor. Good job. Remember, good job. I think you won.
Yeah, but Chris, the fight is. I mean, let's be still remain optimistic on the positive side. 240, but let's not make sure that we don't have 240 or the greater amount of count that are positive.
Right. Yeah. Right. Let's not let our guard down. In other words.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
You guys have a great day.
You have a great Friday. Business. All right.
All right. Take care.
Wash your hands. Yeah.
So community testing, it heads south. All Southern residents are urged to go to the Agate Senior Center. It's from 1 to 4 p.m. today. And again, it is free for anyone with COVID-19 symptoms.
Right. Okay, 7:06. We're going to do news, take a break, and we're coming back with Dr. Ricky Hernandez, who, of course, led the charge of the presentation of the governor's recovery plan right here on KUAM News' takeover of Guam's favorite. It's containing COVID. KUAM FM, Hagatni Guam, good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Spread in our community. Our live morning shows are brought to you by IT&E, Calvo Enterprises, and Ambrose Inc.
Good morning. All I gotta say is like, good morning. One of the most covered Chamorro songs. Probably second only to Fanogi Chamorro. Imani, a mixed plate. Hagu. Hey, it's Friday, 7/13. Let's get right to it. It's the first of the month, by the way. And he is the head of the governor's economic recovery
panel of advisors.
Yes, and also he's on the recovery panel of advisors, and he led the... I always confuse him. He led the presentation of the governor's recovery panel of advisors recovery plan yesterday. Dr. Ricky Hernandez from GITA. Morning, Ricky.
Good morning.
Good morning, Serena. Hi, good morning, Serena.
I guess so. What are some of the things that you've been hearing in the time after you presented the plan? Because we're kind of still just taking it all in.
Yeah, I think that there is a lot to take in because this is unprecedented times, and so just as a precursor to this, this Talantara Hinemno plan was a culmination of obviously the work of the governors, and really specifically a recovery panel of advisors, because it's not only economic recovery, but it's also the recovery of our health, right? And so I think the name is befitting of the intent of the plan, which is Chalan Parahinema, which journey to healing, road to recovery, and so it's a good balance. And it was, if you'd imagine, we had the panel is made up of physicians as well as business people that have obviously different interests, but we came together for a common interest to ensure that we have something that we could just a roadmap that we could follow, and everyone could try to take in and absorb, so that we kind of understand how we can get to a place where we're all a little bit happier. I think that's kind of what we're going toward.
What would you make of criticisms about the lack of diversity on that recovery panel of or the economic, or any of the groups for that matter? People are saying pretty much the only dissenting voice, I think, would be Christine Belletto. Everyone else is either tied to the administration, works for the administration, or somehow otherwise connected. So how confident are you in this plan, and how many outside eyes got a look or a say on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think the diversity question, and I can't speak to the definition of connection, because I think all of us are connected in some way. But I think in terms of the voices that went into this, Christine Belete was an amazing resource, because the Chamber of Commerce obviously is a representation of a broad range of businesses in the community, and so bringing her voice in, as well as Holly Rustick, who's the president of the Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce. And their ability to, in terms of just the sheer number of researchers that assisted in developing this plan, I think speaks volumes to at least how many people in the diversity of who spoke into this, who had a voice in this plan. On the physician side, that we presented this to the Physicians Advisory Group as well. And so the triggers that we finally came up with was a culmination of discussions with a broad number of doctors and dentists and just physicians in general. And so, in terms of diversity and the number of individuals that we had spoken with, both obviously with the most amount of voice in it, which is obviously the Recovery Panel Advisors, and then also from a contributor and a reviewer standpoint, we feel pretty comfortable. And let me just add this too, Chris and Sabrina. This was not also, created in a vacuum, right? We looked at other studies and recovery reports and reopening strategies that other states have and jurisdictions have put together. And if you look at those studies, I mean, you kind of have a national perspective. We also looked at the president's Opening Up America Again roadmap. And we attempted to tailor a lot of what we were trying to do with the sheer number of experts that went into that plan as well. So in terms of diversity, we're hoping that this plan kind of incorporates as many voices, and right. we think it did.
Ricky,
was this plan approved by the Department of Public Health? Because I noticed that I don't believe I saw Linda Pingo DeNorsi at the press conference, and why wasn't she there?
Yeah, so the Director DeNorsi was heavily involved in this. Obviously, I mentioned Department of Public Health and Social Services probably the most out of all the agencies in this plan. And at the end of the plan, we mentioned that they're the source of the information. They're the official source of information that will be informing the governor in terms of what these triggers that will help inform a decision. Right. Linda may not have been on camera, but she was in there. She was there in person, so she's really involved.
Ricky, in the CNMI they had their fiscal summit, which it was an exchange of ideas and it was broadcast to the public. Why weren't these economic recovery meetings put out on Zoom for the public to watch? You mentioned that you didn't do this in a vacuum, but you actually kind of did, because there was no ability or access for the public or the media to kind of peer into these plans. And do you think that's a problem when so much of the conversation about the administration right now is geared around transparency?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I'm not too familiar with what the CNMI did. What I did do is I did look at what they had submitted, and I know that they're working with a great group out there from the federal government called Graduate School USA, which is a contractor with the Department of Interior Office of Insular Affairs. And I've worked closely with some of those individuals, and it appears that they've provided a lot of technical assistance to the CNMI government, which is always great. Is always helpful for the territories and other insular areas. As it relates to transparency and openness, essentially what we've done is we've laid out a plan that we've said is not perfect. We've mentioned that this plan is obviously something that will evolve. It's not set in stone. And so, as much feedback as we get, obviously this is not something that we're not open to amending at some time. But obviously, in terms of just trying to put out a roadmap, how we pave the way, obviously, depends on what experiences we have moving forward. We couldn't have done this kind of plan, I'll just say 2 months ago, because maybe 2 months ago we didn't know some of the details of how this virus spreads. And so I think in terms of input and diversity, or the perceived lack of diversity or the perceived lack of input, I hope I addressed that in that last question. But moving forward, I think this is not a plan that is static. It's an evolving plan, because the data is evolving, and the data we get is improving in terms of testing capacity and all that. So,
But Ricky, again, do you think that this should have been something that with DOE they have work sessions? This is kind of like a work session thing. I mean, so you're basically saying that you don't think it should have been aired out to the public, or you know what I mean? Because I didn't really catch your response to that.
Yeah, no, I think what we're doing now is airing it out to the public.
Okay.
And like I said, if we say up front that it's not, it's the best plan we have at the moment,
right?
And it's a roadmap for people to start planning. I think in terms of how flexible this plan is a testament to, how flexible a lot of frameworks are created around the country, and so in terms of input and all that, I think that's what we're trying to do with these industries and businesses that are working together to put together plans so that we could keep everyone safe. It's a joint effort, and we're hoping that the input from the business community and how they believe they should operate from a self-regulatory basis or a self-regulation basis is something we can look forward to.
Okay, we can get into the plan in a little bit, but I wanted to first just give you the opportunity, because we did have Mike Israel on earlier in our program, and I'm not sure if you heard him, but he called the plan basically a nothing burger, and I wanted to see if you had a response to that.
Oh, I'm not too sure. I didn't hear anyone's perspective on the plan on your show earlier today.
Okay, well, he called it a nothing burger.
Okay.
And then,
yeah, no, I mean, I think that I think there's a lot of opinions out there that are well respected, and I think that as we move forward, I think we all should probably stay positive as it relates to this, because
stay positive. Got it.
Yeah, no, and I think in terms of the negativity that may surround any idea that comes out, I think it's inevitable that there will be criticism of anything that comes out.
Ricky, what about Uncle Carl? So we had made the ask because we had heard that he wasn't being included in any of these discussions, and when we asked at the press conference, the governor's response was that, she's going to go to Tentago Tony Babauta to call him, and so we had later found out through a variety of sources that he was involved in the latter stages of these plans. Can you just first tell us why it was so hard to loop him in? And then secondly, what type of input and experience did he provide in the finalized recovery plan?
Yeah, we all have a lot of respect, obviously, for the Governor Gutierrez and his input and his experience as it relates to his relationship with the governor. I think is a world of difference for any decision that's made. And so in terms of his relationship and his role with the governor, I think that that's something that I'm not familiar with, because that's I'm the deputy administrator at the Guam Economic Development Authority, and so he's obviously an employee of the governor's office.
But isn't he kind of detailed with you guys, with Gita? Because I remember the governor saying that he works closely with Gita as the economic.
Yeah. No, certainly the former governor does work very closely with Gita as well.
How come you guys didn't have him at the presentation of the plan?
Chris, I think that in terms of the logistics of how the plan was rolled out and who was at the press conference, I think that might be a question for probably presented to someone else, because I think in terms of my
Wait a second, Ricky, are you only taking questions on the recovery plan? Because I wanted to ask you what you thought about the muting of reporters. And I mean, you seem like a pretty smart guy. I saw you sitting there. It must have been so uncomfortable for you guys to not to be able to answer, real questions that people. I know you guys did your plan. I know you guys worked hard on your plan, but there's a lot of other things that are going on here, and it almost seemed to me like a spoiled kid's birthday party. You're like, we're only going to talk about our recovery plan. So, what did you make of that censorship of the media?
Yeah, I'm not too sure exactly, what the problem was in terms of being able to, just being able to just talk briefly about the plan itself. I know that the spoiled birthday party may not be an accurate representation of what the plan was.
No, I'm not talking about what the plan is. I'm talking about how you guys. And let me just back this up, Ricky. The governor hasn't had a press appearance or an availability for the public or the media in 6 days. So The last update we got on the federal aid, the last update we got on the unemployment was over a week ago, and you can't just leave people hanging out here. And people want to know about the federal aid. So it was like a spoiled kid's birthday party, and that the number one question on people's mind isn't, about your recovery plan. I'm sorry, it's not. It's about how people are going to recover out here and how much they're hurting because they thought they were going to have the stimulus. They thought they were going to have the unemployment. And again, you seem like a smart guy. I don't know how you can defend a decision like that because it was kind of boneheaded.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the actions, quite frankly.
Do you agree with that decision, Ricky, or not?
With which decision?
With the decision to limit the questions to only the recovery plan.
Well, I think I'll just answer it this way, Chris and Sabrina.
How about you answer it with a yes or no, maybe?
Well, I think that the recovery plan and the intent of trying to make everyone understand something that obviously is a very difficult thing to kind of comprehend at first.
It's not that difficult, Ricky. I mean, so yes or no, do you support how the media was censored yesterday?
Well, in terms of censorship, I think in terms of providing an outlet for the media to have responded to or to hear about the plans that the administration has, whether or not it's recovery or whether or not it's a previous press conference that they've been having. The access to the administration, I think, is
limited. It's very limited, Ricky.
I'd say it's through its communications office, first and foremost. So I'm not the communications office, but of course, obviously, I'm willing to answer any questions as it relates to what I can answer. And so my ability to answer questions in terms of the reason I was hoping we could use this as a public service announcement as it relates to the plan and any questions that you may have. But if further questions as it relates to the decisions that are made, I hope, and I'm hoping that could be presented, to those that have answers to those questions.
Right.
Well, the reason why sometimes you see reporters just asking questions is we're limited to 2 questions. So obviously, as a reporter, okay, the odds that somebody else is going to ask a question about the recovery plan, they're going to ask a question about the recovery plan.
Right.
But they're also going to ask something else. And sometimes when you get a response, it's not really a response, it's just a load of BS.
Yeah, I think you're just on that side of it, Ricky. Yeah. So
but
maybe you don't have the our perspective of it. Which
you've got to say what you've got to say.
Yeah, and you're saying it
right. So anyway, you guys,
we're not going to mute you, Ricky. We're not. We're going to be the better people here. We're not going to mute you. So go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say that I opportunity to be able to talk about the plan.
Okay, well, we can talk about the plan.
I mean, you work for the governor, dude. You're like one of her shining stars. You should be able to stand in and answer the questions. You know what I mean? You're more than well compensated. They put you out there, Dr. Ricky Hernandez. I'm just saying, put on your big boy pants, and if you don't want to deal with this, then we won't deal with it. We want to know about the plan, yes, but also this is the elephant in the room, and it's only fair that we ask this, and if you don't want to respond to it, then fine.
Yeah. Did you get to stay at the Pacific Star?
Did you get to stay at the Pacific Star, Ricky?
Oh, no, of course not.
Okay.
Oh, of course not.
Okay, so anyway, we got the pandemic condition of readiness, PCOR 1, maximum restrictions. This is the recovery plan. PCOR 2, moderate restrictions. PCOR 3, minimum restrictions. And PCOR 4, no restrictions. And so the way that I read it, it appears that you're dealing with 14 days, right? Intervals. So from when you move from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, correct? Based on... Correct. I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So the plan in terms of the triggers to... so we're currently in PCOR 1, and the triggers to get to PCOR 2 is... there's 4 things that have to actually occur at the same time. And I think that the number one thing that people are looking at are cases, right? And so there has to be a 14-day period of downward trend in terms of positive cases, and then also what we call test positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And so those 2 have to be occurring, as well as obviously adequate hospitalization, contact tracing has to be robust, and testing capacity has to be there.
Okay.
And so the 14 days, I believe, is tolling from April 25th. And
right.
So, yeah, from April 25th, if you count 14 days, and if all these triggers occur, then that may, obviously provide the governor some surety that that the beginning of reopening the economy can occur.
Right, and then you guys mentioned that May 9th, that might be the day we're looking at, but that's all pending whether or not we're good with the 4 triggers.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note too that this time of waiting until that date is a time for planning for both government and the business community. So it kind of matches up well, because we want to make sure that when businesses that are authorized to open are able to do so in a way that it keeps the public health safe, the public's health safe, as well as obviously following certain social distancing guidelines and all that.
No, I think the public gets it. They know what they need to do. Obviously, we haven't gotten this far if we didn't heed, what
Ricky,
we're supposed to do.
I got to say that you did give credit to the public yesterday. I did appreciate that in the press conference. You're right. I don't think the public has been thanked enough, quite frankly, because we're the ones who went out and did what we had to do.
Yeah, and to that point, Chris, and I'm glad you recognize that point that was made by it was a point expressed by everyone in the room. But I think that we wouldn't be at this point where we're even talking about recovery if it wasn't due to the diligence of everyone, everyone in the community. You go to a grocery store, and what were social norms of just not being being close to people and all that. Everyone is it's a different place out there now, and I think that's a testament to people's respect for each other and trust in terms of just wearing face masks, although they're required. I mean, people are wearing face masks and keeping their hands clean and sanitized and things like that. And the results are showing it. The testing and the low test positivity rate that we've been experiencing, even with ramping up the number of tests, I think is a testament to people's just overall the community's response to this virus.
So when May 9th, I believe May 9th was the next for the possibility of PCOR 2, what businesses are we looking at reopening on a limited capacity?
Yeah, there were some on that. There was a slide there that we had. Yeah, there was a slide there that we had. On the bottom, obviously, it was a little bit of a a disclaimer, because it wasn't an exhaustive list of businesses that were going to open. But the ones on the left side of that slide, in terms of retail stores,
automotive sales,
automotive sales, and
shopping centers and malls.
Shopping centers and malls. All of those types of businesses are obviously going to operate on a limited basis, and what that limited basis will obviously be dependent on what we are able to see over the next week in terms of some of the plans. But currently, I think when we did move into some of the restrictions being implemented over time, we did lower the occupancy rate. And in other states, occupancy rate has been lowered, even for those businesses that were allowed to open to, I think some states did it at 20, 25, 30%. I think ours, before we ramped up the restrictions, was at 50% occupancy. So that is yet to be determined until the time when PCOR 2 is actually declared.
Right, but in the interim, did you go out to all these businesses that deal with retail, real estate, beauty, shopping centers, elective, medical, and dental? Did you say, here's our plan, and give me yours on how to reopen, and then we'll approve you, yes or no?
Yeah, the approval process, we had thought about that in the panel of advisors, and the government approval process would have hampered the ability for these businesses to open. But in that process, obviously, I mentioned the Chamber of Commerce and the Women's Chamber had met with a lot of businesses, and in terms of that, they submitted some interim guidelines that basically show just something as simple as point of sale systems. They mentioned that, and this is just one example, a point of sale system should be used by one person, and in between uses, if there's a shift change, then it has to be completely sanitized. So there are these steps that these businesses are taking in terms of submitting some types of guidelines that help prevent the spread of the virus.
Are they required to submit this plan?
Yeah, so on an industry basis, the Guam Chamber of Commerce and Women's Chamber were willing to work with the business community, as well, in terms of their membership, as well as others, their members, to work together to submit industry specific.
Right, yeah. So they go to their members, and whoever owns like a hair salon, they're like, hey, this is how we would do it. Let's put this together. There's going to be social distancing. We're going to do appointments and all that. And then they present it to you guys.
But you guys don't have to give the green light. You don't have to be the ones to say, okay, yes, you can open. I'm just saying, can they just open with their own, what they plan to do?
Yeah, and I think that's where the trust and the self-regulation come in, right?
Okay.
And it was a balance. It was a balance between enforcement and just not having to hamper the ability of businesses to open. I think that's where the kind of the collaboration occurred in this panel.
We had a comment here, Ricky. How are people going to buy if they don't have money? And this is kind of that chicken and the egg argument we've been talking about. So we want to reopen things, but sad reality out here is who has money.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a problem all over the states, and so I think in terms of the people's ability to purchase things, I think that's probably been an issue that's been around even if we weren't
right, but people don't want to hear what's happening in the States. They want to know what's happening here and what we are doing about it.
Yeah, this whole it's in the States, no one's getting it. Oh, yeah, it's not. That doesn't fly with me. I mean, we're here.
You get that, right? Yeah. You're a PhD. The people don't.
Yeah,
and that's why people wanted to ask about it at the press conference, Ricky, because it's so important, and people just are suffering, and so. While you may think that, we didn't keep it germane to the topic at hand, I don't think you understand the gravity, and I don't think really, I doubt people sitting in that room understand the gravity of how desperately people want to hear. Like, do you know anything about the status of the federal aid or the unemployment, Ricky?
Yeah, I think the government of Guam in general is very focused on trying to get this federal aid. And I think at the Department of Revenue and Taxation, the director Daphne Shimizu has been furiously just trying to get everything in motion. And so I think my understanding of where that is in the process is that a plan has been submitted, and I think it's an implementation plan has been submitted, and is still is awaiting review by the IRS and the Treasury.
Right. Yeah, we've heard that. Yeah. So is there any plan? Is there any plan to provide any local aid? Has anyone been talking about that? Do we got a group of advisors maybe that can convene?
Is there like a help the local people advisory panel? Help the local people while they're suffering out here because you told everyone we were going to have our stimulus check by now. Panel of advisors.
Yeah, no, I think that obviously
that'd be a good one to put together, Ricky.
No, I believe so, and I think Chris, Sabrina, I think that in terms of when the stimulus checks are going to come out, I think they're coming out as quickly as we can.
Right, I'm not talking about the stimulus checks, okay? There's federal aid. Yeah, we get it. It's not coming for a while. Everybody around America is having a problem with it. I'm talking about the local bridge programs, locally funded. Is there any sort of advisory group, any advisors that are saying, hey, you know what, we need to focus on the people of Guam that are lining up at Grab and Go, that are trying to get assistance through SNAP? Is there anything out there? Anyone working on it?
Yeah, so I mean, you make those good points, and I know that those are federal. I know that those are partially federal or federal programs, the SNAP and Grab and Go. And I think in terms of all of these programs, I know you're specifically asking about local programs, and I think in terms of the ability to fund these local programs, and I hear you. I hear that if I tell you that the governor had fronted $11 million of local funds to start paying the rebate checks, that may not be enough in the eyes of a lot. But I think.
But there's $118 million from CARES Act funding that came down. That you got the U.S. Treasury guidelines that said you could use it for this. You could use it to help the people.
Yeah, and I think in terms of the ability to deploy the funds, obviously the guidelines have come out, and I know that there's probably some hesitancy in terms of how to use those funds because although
we already know $7 million is going to go to pay for quarantine. That just came down yesterday.
Okay, yeah, I'm not completely involved in the budget side. Obviously, in terms of the use of the funds and how those funds can be used and the guidelines surrounding that. I know that the governor is looking to try to deploy those funds into the community. But in terms of how those funds will be deployed, and if those strategies are within the guidelines, that's something that I think that's something that's being looked into. And so, if you think about trying to deploy funds, I think if you just kind of break that process down, with all these social distancing mandates that are obviously mandates because of the reality we're living in, I think in terms of trying to figure out how to deploy it such that we don't have to have people come in and apply and have that back and forth with the government. If there's a way we can identify a data set of people that are targeted to such that we can give the money to them, in a manner that kind of ensures that we're sensitive to social distancing. I think that's what is probably as important as trying to get that money out.
Yeah, but I think how you do that is you just work on getting the money out. Someone just puts their head down, we just get the money out, get the money out, and then someone else is working on logistically, how are we going to execute this plan? It shouldn't be like, oh, we don't know, it's going to have to be so hard.
Yeah.
Okay, Ricky, I think we kind of, is anything else you wanted to add here? Or maybe we could get you on next week, and then we'll strictly focus on the recovery plan. Unless there's another terrible press conference the day before.
Well, Chris, I just want to thank you. I took up about half an hour of your time.
Hey,
thank you. We're not coming from a mean place here. We're just coming from how people are really frustrated right now.
And I feel like we're well within our range of what's professional and what's not.
No, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity. I think that there's a lot of hurt that's going around in the community, and I think we're all, even each other, I think we're all trying to do our best, and for some that may not be enough, for others it's more than enough. But I think if we all work together, and I think as we've done, and we wouldn't be here at this point talking about reopening if we hadn't. I think if we continue that movement toward not positive testing and the being positive, I think that's something that hopefully will get us to a better place than we're now.
I think we can agree on that, Ricky.
Thanks again for the work you guys put into the Talent para Hinamlu program. You can find that on our website and all of our social media platforms. Sure. Thanks again, Ricky.
Hey, Ricky, last question. Someone had commented, are you on the government of Guam haircut plan? Because I saw you. Do you just do your own hair or what?
I was very prepared for this question, Chris. And
I know.
The way I want to answer that is that don't underestimate the skills of a wife.
Okay,
so
I got you.
I'll just do that.
So is she taking outside appointments or what? Can she cut from 6 feet away? Okay.
Well, let's hope by May 9, if we all remain diligent, that could happen.
All right, Ricky. Thank you. Wash your hands.
I will. Thanks,
Thank
Chris.
you.
All right.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, 7:43. We got to take a little break. I got a bunch of calls coming in here. It's the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite, I-94. Good morning.
Staying healthy.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Hafade Guam, Adriana Cotero here, and I am currently reporting from home. And I encourage every single person in this community to stay home. COVID-19 can
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
Was it just me, or is the only question he was prepared for was a haircut question? I'm sorry, Bree. Do I embarrass you?
No.
I can't take this guy anywhere. 7:48.
I got you.
I know, I got
It's
you.
all right.
I got my wand. I really want to try and make it through today without using my wand, but I tell you, boy, it's a who. It's a who. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Of course, 93.9 FM. We got an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, streaming also KUAM News app and KUAM.com, and of course on the KUAM News Facebook page. Good morning. 7:48. Let's go to Dr. Tom Shea here, who, Doc, I just want to start with this. What did you make of that farce of a press conference yesterday? And
that was incredible. I usually don't watch it, but just so happened that I caught that towards that part of it, and I was like, that's a straightforward question. If you have nothing to hide, you can just answer that question. There's no need to cut the reporter off and then cut him off again, and then it's just incredible. I mean, have we come down to this point in our government system that they can't even answer the question straightforward? It's a common question. It is a relevant topic. Any COVID funding, we're talking about economic recovery, getting people back to work, etc. So any COVID funding is open to question. I think that was a relevant question. It's not something that they should have just avoided.
How hard would it have been, Doctor, for Governor Lulian Guerrero or Lieutenant Governor Josh Denorio, for that matter, to interrupt their communications director and say, no, Janella, actually, we're going to answer this because, they're right. People do want to know about this, so it's okay.
It's not hard at all. I mean, listen, if you ask me that question, and if I was the one that's sitting there and I'm the boss, okay, I'll just say this. I'll answer the question straight up. I did take the campaign money, but that's the election. There's nothing to do with our procurement of this hotel. The hotel was procured because, it was a cheap hotel, and whatever you got to say, just say it.
Right. Or how about my chief of staff overnighted a Pacific Star. We're still looking into it. He may have taken 3 of the little shampoo bottles. I mean, something. It just, to me, it's mind blowing that they think if they just duck down in their shell, all the troubles are going to go. It's almost as if they think they have a magic wand or something, you know?
Yeah. You know, even
Wave it
with
away.
that, even with the chief of staff, if he has gotten a suite or whatever it is, you can also come out and say, well,
He should be out here. He should be out here telling people.
Well, he is my chief of staff. He deserves to have a suite. He is in the top-ranking official of Guam, and of course he's going to get a suite. You know, you can say it. It's okay. Be transparent. To not be transparent and to dodge questions, to hide things, you know, they're going to say, oh, we're not trying to hide things. Well, if you're not trying to hide things, I'd like them to, for $128 million or $127, whatever it is, list it down, itemize, and give it to the media without the media having to go and get this Freedom of Information Act and waiting and all that. That wastes time. Just be honest and say, hey, every week, every Friday, we're going to give you a list of items. This is how we're drawing down this bank account. Have the bank account $128 million, and $1 million goes here, $1 million goes there. Every item until the very last dollar is spent. That's transparency for you, and they shouldn't be afraid to do that. You know, a transparent government is a good government. If a government wants the people to follow you, you got to be transparent.
Yeah, and I think
so easy.
it's interesting, Doc, because doctors, a lot of doctors that we talked to during this COVID-19, well, except for the couple on the advisory group, but a lot of the doctors have been saying, hey, we need more transparency. The mayors have been saying we need more transparency from this administration. The senators have been saying we need more transparency from this administration. The media has been saying we need more transparency from this administration. The people of Guam have been saying we need more transparency. You see a trend here, Doc? Is there some? Is it just me, or do you see a trend?
Yeah, you know, the transparency is a big issue. You know, now I'm starting to question, hey, are the report you're giving me from public health, is it true?
Yeah.
You know, those are.
This is the danger of
what's coming out. I even talked to the doctors who was on that advisory board. I said, you guys got to be transparent. Oh, Tom, you know, listen, we just want to focus on the mission. Well, mission essential is transparency.
Mm-hmm.
And I scold them. I mean, they say, oh, well, Tom, you know, don't do that. You know, I still scold them.
Mm-hmm.
Be transparent. If every clinic out there is under the government's control or under the government, whatever the COVID-19 testing system is, if they're going to get paid, be transparent. It's okay. It's work being done. Don't hide it. Don't try to say we're doing it for free. Come on. Just be transparent. It's okay.
Are they all getting paid? The
Who's getting paid, Doc?
You got to ask the governor that.
Well, we're going to get muted if we ask that.
Well, you can get muted, but the people are listening to you. So keep it up. I think it's the media's job to investigate and look at transparency of the government, because if the government is not transparency, that's a rogue government. You need to look at that. You got to have transparency. That's the hallmark of a good government.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who. I would have loved to have been in that meeting where, was it the governor? Was it the lieutenant governor who said, I don't want to answer any questions about Tony Babauta. God, I don't want to do this press conference because they're just going to ask about Tony Babauta sleeping in the stupid media.
Gosh,
and so maybe
you know, Josh was there and didn't
he didn't even. Did he say a word?
No.
I don't know. Everybody was in a mask. I don't know who's who actually. You know.
What about the optics of that, Doc, where you have media asking? Go ahead.
Here is my suggestion. Yeah. My suggestion is, this is a Zoom conference, right, that they're doing?
Yeah.
Take off your mask. Everybody go into a room of your own. Take off your mask, go into a room of your own, and talk without looking at each other. Everybody's on Zoom conference. You can do it. So you don't have to wear your mask.
Right.
The New York governor is doing the press conference 6 foot apart. He doesn't wear his mask. There's other governors out there that are doing their press conference. There's no mask. It's Zoom conference. Each of you get into a room and do it from there.
I don't want to focus too much on the mask thing. I'd rather focus on the point that, you know, like our Adriana Cotero, for example, asked a question. It was a long question. The lieutenant governor, the governor, Dr. Ricky Hernandez, Dr. Felix Cabrera, all sat there rapt at her asking the question. Mm-hmm. At any point, they could have picked up the mic and said, I'll take that.
Yeah, well, you saw that part too, right? They took the mic from each other and they even wiped the mic.
I think the mic was just for decoration there. I don't even know if that thing worked.
You gotta clean the mic before they pass that mic around. Okay, this is why it is so essential that if you're going to do a Zoom conference, do it in your privacy where you're sitting by yourself to do it. But you know, they got to be more transparent, and
right.
I wish they would just say, this is $129 million we have, and here's the account, and let's go ahead and line item it. This is what I tell you. The very last dollar is spent, and that's full accountability. There's no, transparency is a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with being transparent.
Of course
you
not.
Got to be transparent.
There's transparency with, everything that you're doing with the spending, but there's also accessibility. And that's why the issue of transparency is made even worse by this administration, because our access to these government officials, especially the governor, is very limited.
You cannot choose which media outlet that you want to talk to.
Yeah, well, she does, but and I ask
her.
her. I've asked her so many times. I'm tired of asking. I'm not going to ask anymore because it's not. I think that she thinks it's Chris Barnett or whatever asking, but it's not. I mean, people. You're the governor of Guam. We have the biggest audience. People want to hear from you. Don't take it personal. You know what I mean?
You have a big follower, so but they shouldn't be afraid. You can run for office, the highest office of the land here.
Yeah.
You got to be more transparent. That's how you're going to get people to follow you.
And the reason why the media was so backed up on questions is because the last time we saw the governor and were able to ask her questions was 6 days ago. 6 days ago. And then, so of course we've got questions going back to 6 days ago.
Yeah, I know. Chris.
Ridiculous. And so when they control the access and, they act like having a press conference where the media gets 2 questions is doing us a favor, they're totally missing the point, because it's not about us. We're just being empowered by the people of Guam to go and ask the questions that they want to get the answers to. But the way it seems with this administration is they just hate the media.
Yeah,
and when they shouldn't blame us. Go get mad at Tony Babauta. Go get mad at Tony Babauta. We wouldn't be asking you about Tony Babauta if Tony Babauta wasn't doing. And the response, he just stayed there one night because he wasn't. What has that got to do with anything? That's not how the quarantine works. And all you're doing is you're sowing distrust. People don't trust this administration already. It's terrible. And now they're at a point where, because of all the political BS that's been going on, now they don't even trust the test results.
Yeah, that's a point, and I try to talk to the physician advisory group too, is that you guys are sitting there going along with this. You're as guilty as it comes, because it's almost like you're watching something happen and you're not reporting it. Those are the things that occurs, and you have to earn the trust of the people. Now you question, hey, are we going to believe what's going on? Are we going to believe that you actually the results are true and not fudging it? Things like that. Those are questions that come into people's mind now. So you're going to have to earn their trust back. And if they have the opportunity to do so week in and week out, but they're not doing it. That's the frustrating part, even for myself.
It would have been so easy, Doc, for them to say, okay, recovery questions, we're going to do that. Okay, anybody? Nobody has recovery. Going once, going twice. Okay, we're going to open the floor to everything else, guys. How hard would that have been?
Chris, it is so easy to put up a slide, right? They put these projections, right? They put these 6,000 death projections, whatever it is. It's so easy to fact. You got 125 million, 28 million. Put it up. Okay, today, this week, this is what we used it for. Next week, okay, 128 million is down to 100 million. This is what we used for. Next week, it's down to 90 million. This is what we used for. Line by line by line by line. What is so hard? Just do that. It's transparent. It's so fast. One slide says it all.
Well, hopefully we can get that, but I'm not, holding my breath or anything.
No, they're gonna have to do something about that, because if they don't
the senators are planning on going into session next week, and the way it sounds, it's like they want a full-on override of Bill 333.
They should, and then they, in fact, they probably should also strip some of the powers of silence when you go into emergency. What is this non-government? What is the Open Government Act? It's suspended. Why would you want to do that?
That was like the first thing they did. That was their priority.
I know this is an emergency, but we learned how to do a conference and get into an office without having to be there. Why do you want to suspend Open Government Act? That is right there that tells you that, hey, we're not going to be transparent, because you don't want to do that. Open government law exists for a reason, and that reason, I would think that it's the trust that you want to give the people that, hey, you're doing something about par. Because once you start chipping away this open government or, the transparency issues, things like that, then it all falls apart. Then you're not going to get the trust of the people. And this is why a lot of people are not understanding what's going on. And, it's a good thing that a lot of our doctors, I think the people stay at home because our doctor told them to stay at home. The PSA that we did with the media got out there, and that worked. Okay, it's not because of the government's PSA that, hey, stay at home, don't go do this. I really truly believe these our doctors working with the media got the word out, and I thank KUAM and all the media outlets for helping us do that, and I think that's what works. But now the government has to fight this issue about transparency. And what they did yesterday, oh man, I caught that and I put it on my Facebook, and the reason I put it on my Facebook because I think it's important for people to see.
Yeah, it is. Doc, we got to run. It's the top of the hour.
All right, Chris.
Okay, thank you so much. Wash your hands.
Of course.
Okay, thanks for the support, Doc.
All right.
Okay, it's 8 o'clock. We're KUAM FM in Agani, Guam. We're going to take a real quick break, flick the big switch, and jump over to KUAM TV 11 right here on KUAM News' Takeover, Guam's favorite. It is containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Local Fridays, email Andy at KUAM.com. Send us a message.
New self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Now family program, mom, dad, and kids stay connected on the latest devices.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Docomo Pacific, better together.
There's nothing like making a meal with every pot of pan you own. Savor every bite of this meal, Chef, because for dessert, you'll be having
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union.
KUAM News COVID-19. KUAM FM, Agani Guam. It's the KUAM News Takeover containing COVID at 8:07. So many ways to catch the show. Of course, here on the radio, it's 93.9 FM, Guam's favorite, I-94. We're also doing a stream on the KUAM News app and at KUAM.com. Also an audio stream, Docomo Channel 10, and on KUAM TV 11 from 8 to 10 in the morning. And last but not least, to all of our Facebook Live viewers at KUAM News' Facebook page. We have Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio standing by. We're going to knock out news real quick, a deep dive into the day's COVID-19 headlines from the KUAM News team. Good morning, Sabrina Salas-Matanani.
Hafide, and good morning, everyone. According to the Joint Information Center's latest release issued at midnight last night, a total of 232 individuals were tested, with one testing positive. The results include samples from clinics, hospital, quarantine, and samples from Estumbo and from Manilao. To date, there are now 146 confirmed cases of COVID-19 on Guam, 5 deaths, and 131 recoveries. Community testing resumes today for Southern residents at the Agate Senior Center between 1 to 4 p.m. The testing is free for anyone experiencing COVID symptoms. Guam's economy could begin to reopen beginning May 9th. That's the latest target mentioned by the governor and her recovery advisory panel as they unveiled the 4-phase Chalan para Hinemlu, or Road to Recovery plan. The plan's phases are called pandemic conditions of readiness, terms we're all familiar with from past storms, though the coronavirus is much different from any super typhoon we've been through. The governor says certain criteria must be met before we can move from the current PCOR 1 to PCOR 2. The governor saying, 1, we must have 2 weeks of consistent decline in the number of COVID-19 positives. 2, we must have an adequate hospital capability to treat new cases as they arise. 3, we must have the capacity to test people with COVID-19 symptoms. And 4, we must have the ability to contact trace efficiently and effectively. The current 14-day window began on April 25th, and advisory panel lead Dr. Ricky Hernandez of GIDA laid out the list of businesses that would be allowed to open. If the criteria continues to be met, the next milestone date for further relaxed openings would be 28 days later, when we would go into pandemic condition 3. Nestor Lecanto asked about the recovery plan and what it means for the tourism industry.
If all goes well, we're looking at going to PCOR 2 on May 9th, and then 28 days after that, if all goes well, PCOR 3, which would essentially be the day that we're able to restart tourism, accepting visitors. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And I think to set the expectation is that PCOR 3 and the determination for that is really based upon all of those items that we talked about from PCOR 1 to 2, but what might drive that is the testing capacity. And so that without that testing capacity, I think in terms of being able to achieve that PCOR level, we should probably set the expectation appropriately. Also,
right.
There's also some. There may also be some considerations moving forward when we get to PCOR 3 that we may not have seen or foreseen today. And so this plan is very flexible in terms of what may occur in each of the PCOR levels. And so hopefully that will, when that time comes, we'll be able to know more than what we know now and make a better informed decision.
Okay, so my first question is, if we falter in any way before that June 7th date, does that restart the clock?
Yeah, and I think that's a good question. And the recovery panel of advisors and as well as the physician advisory group had discussed what may occur in terms of if we regress or things don't continue to get better. And I believe that those circumstances as they arise is something that we're going to be closely monitoring. And I think there isn't any specific guidelines in terms of how to move back, but we're also ensuring that those things, as the data shows, and as hospitalization information occurs during these different PCOR level periods, those decisions will be made at the appropriate time. But the guidelines are moving from PCOR 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and if in the event there needs to be a move backwards in PCOR levels, those decisions obviously will be made when the data shows that.
Back and reintroduce that measure. Speaker Tina Mooney Barnes has called session for Tuesday, May 5th. Senator Therese Terlahi requested for the session in order to override the governor's veto of Bill 333, which was passed unanimously. The legislation relates to the rapid and transparent implementation of federal and local assistance programs related to COVID-19. In the speaker's response, she said she stands ready to support Terlahi's efforts to ensure transparency and restore the public's trust in our government. She is calling a session for Tuesday, May 5th at 10 in the morning. The Committee on Rules, in the meantime, met Thursday, approving a resolution to temporarily change their standing rules to allow them to conduct legislative business virtually. Also, during the press conference prior to its start, the governor's communications director, Janella Carrera, sent a memo that the press conference was about the recovery plan and told media to keep questions relevant to it. But that didn't stop Island media from asking other questions, such as the status of federal aid and the controversial supposed one-night stay of her Chief of Staff, Tony Babalta, at Quarantine Hotel Pacific Star. Here's the questions asked by reporters from PDN, The Post, and KUAM's Adriana Cotero, who were shut down by the governor's communications director.
Can we just get an update on the federal relief benefits? Where are we with that? I mean, people are asking, when can they avail of these things? I'm sure Jasmine, you get it every day.
Jasmine, I made it very clear that we're going to stick with the COVID recovery efforts. So if you
sure.
Thank you.
I wanted to hear just a little bit, Governor, if you could talk about the role of some of those, the members on that recovery panel who's worked hard to put this together. And specifically, I want to ask, what was the role of your Chief of Staff, Tony Babalta, who yesterday we heard was placed in or had to stay the night at the quarantine facility because he wasn't feeling well, and has he been tested?
Again, Nick, we have to stay at the topic.
The topic is again in regards to the role of one of the members, the Chief of Staff, and then on that note, the update in regards to his stay over at the Pacific Star, because a lot of people find that very questionable. Although he might have had good intentions, there's still the question out there of
Nick, and we as I understand, Crystal did respond to you earlier that we would be providing you with a written response to that question. Thank you.
So the role?
We're going to go to Mariana's Business Journal next.
Governor, according to documents obtained by KUAM, the Pacific Star Hotel charged public health $544,600 for the use of 389 hotel rooms for 2 weeks from March 23rd to April 5th. Meaning at that rate, public health would have paid over $1.6 million for the use of the hotel for the last 6 weeks. We also know by researching yours and Lieutenant Governor's campaign finance documents that through the Guam Election Commission, the family who owns Pacific Star donated thousands of dollars to your campaign, this giving the appearance of political favoritism. So Public Auditor BJ Cruz told KUAM that through their emergency procurement and during this process for the pandemic, something they'll be looking very closely at is Hi, sorry, I wasn't finished.
Go ahead, keep going.
Okay, so how would you answer any critics who say politics is playing a part in procurement during this public health emergency?
Okay, Adriana, as I said, we made it very clear that your questions need to stay relevant to the topic at hand. We're going to go to the next media.
Wasn't feeling well, and because he had elderly parents at home, he was allowed to spend the night. She couldn't say how long he was allowed to stay, but Carrera said it was just one night. After the press conference, Carrera said each of the facilities used as quarantine sites were the only ones responsive to the government's request led by GHRA. Rooms were used at every hotel that responded to that request, provided each room was $100 or less with linens and 3 meals a day. She responded to Adriana's second question that the quarantine facility must be managed on a 24/7 basis. 2 to 3 staffers work the site at any given point during the 24/7 period and are provided a room to rest. And finally, in our Banking 671 report, island residents who receive their stimulus checks are able to cash them even if you're not a member at the following banks: Bank of Hawaii, Bank of Guam, Bank Pacific, and First Hawaiian Bank. The Guam Bankers Association also reminds the public that to avoid waiting in lines, you can use their ATMs. Also, for those of you who have no banking relationships, you are asked to line up in a designated non-customer check cashing line and will need to provide 2 valid IDs. And that is your Banking 671 tip from Bank of Guam and Coast 360.
All right, 8:18. Let's go to the phones here where Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio is standing by. Lieutenant Governor, morning.
Hello.
The Lieutenant Governor.
Let's try again.
Oh, hold on, 'cause message here. Oh, I just got a message from the Adelup Communications director.
You did?
Yeah, just now. Janela Carrera messages, LT can't make it. Carlo can call in instead. This is actually when you were doing the news, and then I put, no, he's on the line. And then she put, yes, he has to hang up, though, because he's being called into a Zoom conference.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry, guys. We had the Lieutenant Governor on for you guys, the second highest elected official in all of the land. But do you want to get Carlo Branch? I mean... Not really. We didn't vote for Carlo Branch. Did we vote for Carlo Branch? No, we did not vote for Carlo Branch. Right. We voted for Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Governor Lulian Guerrero, who, for whatever reason, can't seem to make themselves available to the media because, and it's interesting, he was scheduled for 8:05. We had him on hold, and then suddenly he gets called into a Zoom conference, but he was scheduled for our show.
Right.
So, to me, it is what it is, guys. And I even wonder if there's going to be a press conference today.
There's not going to be a press conference today.
Let me ask
I would be surprised.
Yeah, I don't want Carlo. Hold on, Jay.
Okay, comments going crazy right now. People were like, okay, they were really hoping that that Lieutenant Governor Tenorio would jump in as soon as you said, and they heard the dial tone.
Right.
Mm-hmm. People going nuts in the comments right now. They're like, who's running things down there? We really wanted to hear from him. A lot of emoji of various sorts and everything, but yeah, that drew a massive response.
Okay, so I just asked Janela, is there going to be a press conference? She said, we will advise. I mean, you guys don't have your stuff together? You don't know if there's going to be a press conference by 8:20 in the morning on the same day there's supposed to be a press conference? You can't answer the media's questions, which aren't even crazy or controversial. We're talking about basic inquiries here.
Yeah.
And I just really think this is the icing on the cake. We just got done playing those clips of, them muting the media. And then maybe Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio thought he was going to get muted. Maybe he was muted in the press conference.
No, well, he was told, don't get on the radio.
Right, yeah. Is that how you think it went?
Yeah, because Josh has always been very forthcoming.
Right.
I mean, he called. He called. He was on the line.
Let me try and get Janella. Can you call in as the communications director? Because whose call was that, Bree, to mute the media? Do you think that was something that Janella Carrera, as the communications director, decided? Or do you think that was something that was above her pay grade?
You're probably above her pay grade.
I wonder what the reasoning was behind that.
Come on. I
But
think
really,
our Facebook viewers probably know the reason
you
behind
guys got all these hotshot policy director people over there at Adelou, but you're so out of touch. So out of touch. It would have been so much easier to pull the Band-Aid off quick.
Yeah.
Okay? To say, yeah, Tony screwed up, we're counseling him or whatever, or, yeah, there's staffers staying in the Pacific Star.
Well, they did. They admitted their
They admitted it, but they admitted it in a text message hours after a press conference.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem is a text message is a one-way communication.
And it's not just us who are wanting transparency. You see the legislature.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think, the speaker, she's already like, I'm supporting you. We're going to override this bill 333. We're going to go into session next week, Tuesday, May 5th, 10 o'clock in the morning. And I mean, I don't know how many other senators are planning to stay with their, how they voted on, Bill 333 because it was passed unanimously.
Jay, can we get some of those comments?
Oh, yeah. Well, I do believe that the phrase, even though it's not an official hashtag yet, the phrase "put Janella on the phone" is trending right now already in just a matter of minutes. But yeah, people are saying, we need somebody from Adelup, and they're saying, can you get the communications director? Can you get some? When they were saying Carlo, a lot of people didn't know the context of to whom we were referring. That's Carlo Branch, who is the chief policy advisor.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, he has spoken with us before. Obviously, he spoke with Nestor LaConta when the pandemic first started. People are actually saying, can you get Janella on the phone? Because now they want to know what the motive and the impetus was for
I'm
the
bringing
LTV.
Janella now, so let's see. Alakazam, Alakamarone, please make Janella answer her phone.
You have reached 6714.
I'll take it off.
Yeah, the phone number is.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Well, actually.
Maybe she's out of minutes.
Yeah, with her salary, I doubt it.
Okay. So we're going to take a little break, guys. We come back with you, and we have Charles Estevez. I think we still have Charles Estevez.
He might be on the Zoom.
You know what? If you guys don't want to call, fine with me. We can definitely fill the time. We don't have a problem filling the time. It's 8:25, Guam's favorite. It's a KUAM News Takeover containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Howdy, Greg. That's Ellery Sablon, backwards in California. Go local, 8:30. It is the first of the month on Friday. Thank you guys so much for your support here. KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite. It is containing COVID with Sabrina Salas, Matanani. Bree, so obviously you guys heard the chain of events there, and Janela Carrera will not be calling in. And I'm just going to share with you the messages that we kind of went back and forth. Well, first she said, Lieutenant Governor Josh had forwarded her a message. I just got called for technical check for my panel presentation.
Who said that?
This is from Lieutenant Governor Josh. Well, he sent it to Janela.
This is the island sustainability.
Right. So he's saying that, I had to hang up because I had to go to a sound check. For UOG's
so doing a sound check is more important than talking to the people.
Doing a sound check is more important than talking to you guys, the people of Guam.
So is that?
He is the lieutenant governor after all. Right. They got sound checks to do, Bree.
And was there any other excuses on that trail?
No, but then they were really trying to give us Carlo Branch. I just feel like, I know he's the policy director, but we want to talk to someone that the people elected into office. And she said, Carlo's willing to go on and talk about anything you want to talk about. I put, aren't you the comms director? She put Carlo as the policy director. He also does interviews. Why don't you want him? We are offering him. And then
why don't you want to talk?
Yeah.
You're the one pushing the buttons, muting reporters, putting down the guidelines.
Well, she's really, I think, odd. And I really try to conduct, despite what you guys might, I try and be respectful and professional, but boy, this is, and obviously Janella cannot call the radio. If the lieutenant governor can't even call our show, if the governor, avoids this show, you think Janella Carrera can call up? No, she can't. Is there a hashtag now, Jay?
Oh, there is, in fact. And, we were saying earlier, and I said that, and I wasn't trying to motivate you guys, but, that's why our online community is awesome, because now it is a hashtag you guys are using. What is it, Joe, sir?
Hashtag put Janella on.
Hashtag put Janella on. You guys are using
Right.
that. And in the 6-ish minutes since, we tried to get the lieutenant governor on the phone, over 260 comments are going on there. And I've got some side messages. People are watching us on Apple TV now, for people that all over the world that are streaming us. And if you're watching us on Apple TV or a big machine, you can actually see the comments in real time.
Let me read some of these.
This may be frustrating to those of us who care about the welfare of the community, as we do, but for a lot of people out there, this has become a spectator sport. This is highly entertaining for some people.
Someone, D. Wayne writes, never mind, bring back Calvo. At least Eddie would have answers. Art and Jackie Root write, I bet Governor Eddie Calvo will answer his phone and speak to the people. I bet he would, actually. They're going to hide out in Yokoi's cave.
Oh.
And then there's another a comment, just call Linda DeNorsi. Heidi writes in, don't ignore the public is in Politics 101 for how not to inflame your constituency. Oh, man.
Yeah, we're putting these comments up. I mean, we can't put them up as fast as they pop up. We're putting, some of the more poignant ones and everything like that.
Right,
but great response from you guys. And, it's one thing to, to laugh at something. I mean, you guys are actually having a productive conversation online, and, they're interacting with us. People are having side chats with each other and everything like that. And people want answers. When it comes down to it, it's people want information about this.
Yeah. So 8:34. There's a speed check in front of Coast 360, Mighty.
Okay.
Why are you looking out the window? Jay's looking.
We're not in Mighty.
Maybe on a clear day we can see all the way to Mighty.
All right. Let's go over to the Northern Marianas where Tomas Manglotnia is standing by. And, of course, Tomas has thoughts about this press conference. We're going to kind of go in it a little bit with him after he updates us on the latest COVID-19 news from the Northern Marianas. Again, Tomas Manglotnia from the KUAM News Team. Good morning, Tomas.
Good morning. Here's the latest on what's making news in the Northern Marianas. Congressman Gregorio Kilili Camacho Sablan said he received confirmation from the Treasury Department that $36 million in coronavirus relief funds and CARES Act funds should have been fully received by the NMI government last week. Yesterday, during a federal response virtual roundtable, he spoke about these funds and the challenges ahead. We wanted to play a short clip of his address.
From about the emergency response in the Northern Mariana Islands. And of course, nearly all the territories have been, like Chairman Grijalva said, recovering from the damages of severe natural disasters before this pandemic hit our shores. So the hurricanes, the earthquakes in the Caribbean, super typhoons and cyclones in the Pacific have had a devastating impact on individuals' lives, on public infrastructure, on our economies. And Congress has already provided billions of dollars for the recovery, and we were slowly starting to rebuild. And then COVID-19 pandemic started to spread throughout the world, the globe. This public health disaster is unprecedented for the whole world as a world community, and for each one of us individually. The economies of every state and territory have been devastated. The fallout will surely be felt for years to come. And even before this public health crisis, the economy of the Northern Marianas was reeling, attributable no part to typhoons Yutu and Mangkhut in 2018. But since the outbreak, businesses have shuttered, residents lost their jobs, public school teachers have been furloughed, pension payments have been reduced, and the harm felt throughout the islands continued to mount. So I would say that initially the Commonwealth was slow to recognize the severity, but since have done a commendable job at keeping the virus at bay. The number of positive cases, 14, has remained at 14.
Related major expenses for the funds to be used from the CARES Act. He says it can be used for public hospitals, setting up temporary public medical facilities, providing testing, Sablan says he strongly favors assistance to put towards the public school system to make online learning available for all students in the Northern Marianas. He makes note that grants to small businesses and unemployment payments for workers not covered by the CARES Act unemployment assistance are also permitted uses of the money that he mentioned. Also sharing more from the hospital CEO here in the NMI, Esther Munya, as some flights are set to resume in the NMI, Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation CEO Esther Munya says that a negative result from a test taken through community-based drive-through initiative on Saipan can be used for exemption from quarantine for travelers with final destinations to places like Guam if it meets the criteria. She explained that for travel, the negative result issued by CHCC on Saipan is valid for 72 hours from the time of specimen collection and not the time from when an individual receives the result. Munya said that the lab director reviews the results and certifies them. She adds that tests are done carefully with quality and reminds the public that getting tested is not the same as a vaccine. You may still contract it if you don't continue to practice social distancing and other preventative measures. She also says that a traveler quarantine exemption is not the primary purpose for the certificate. We also wanted to share the latest numbers from the CHCC on Saipan. As of April 30th, we remain at 14 cases with a pair of deaths and 12 recoveries. And as of yesterday, April 30th, the number of persons tested through a community testing initiative is 599, nearly 600 people so far. Chris and Bree.
Thanks, Tomas.
Thanks, Tomas. Hey, so I know that you headed up the journalism program at Cal Berkeley. So you definitely have, I believe, the pedigree to talk about this. So I want you to kind of take off your Tomas McGlutney reporting from NMI hat and just put on your journalist hat and tell us why you think yesterday's press conference was a problem.
It's a huge problem. We see it happening, across communities, even in the United States, that governors are seeming to think that they can concentrate power and not answer to the press. And, I think we all know from day one, even as a student, people talk about the press as the fourth branch of government. So other than those big sweeping ideas, I just think it's like Adriana questioned, and we all continue to question. I think it's been over a month since our governor here in the CNMI has had a press conference. It's not about us, the media. Really, it's about the questions we ask for the community, and in particular to reporting that I try to do here, it's about questions that the NMI residents have. And so I think that when you shut out the media, you shut out the public. And this is, I think, I'm young, but we all know that it's not about us, it's about those questions. So I hope that we have a press conference here soon and that questions won't be muted and that there won't be censoring. I don't know if you all share that too, but that's my take on it.
What do you make of the argument that some people have, the media was told that they shouldn't ask questions about that, so what's their problem?
I just don't understand that. I really don't, and there really is no, don't call it a press conference if it's not a press conference. Really.
It should be like a propaganda brief.
Nothing short of a campaign rally in my view, but if you're only speaking to friendly media or media that may be perceived as friendly to you, then that's a major issue. And something that every journalist is pushing for is just to get those questions that the public wants to know asked and get the answer to them. So, definitely thinking about our, Adriana's question and how she was muted in between and not allowed to ask a follow-up. It's simply just unfair. It's really embarrassing, I think.
Yeah, and even just the PDN's question, it was so simple, an update on the federal stimulus checks.
Wow. Oh, my God. So controversial. People want to know what's up with their stimulus check. Don't answer it, Governor. This could end your career. Oh, man.
And, growing up, we always hear the idea of if you can't handle the press, then why are you are you really that elected official? Because if the press is giving you this pressure to, collapse, then I don't really know what else.
And
I don't might not be handled.
I don't agree with this idea that the governor's not going to call us because we're not going to kiss her ass, and Lieutenant Governor Josh is not going to. He's going to hang up because we played a tough news story. But we're going to give you Carlo Branch, guys. We're going to give you Carlo Branch, and then he's going to go on and make a total fool out of himself, and the governor and Josh get to escape all injury. And, I just, that's why I'm like, no, I don't want it. Why would...
Yeah, I think the encouraging thing is that Guam residents, CNMI residents, everyone on every platform is calling this out. It's clearly, there's no blurred line about what happened yesterday.
Right.
It's very clear. There are thousands, if not, there are hundreds of people who saw what we saw. There's no other interpretation of it, in my view, when you have viewers and the media saying the same thing.
I just think it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing that you have the communications director not wanting to communicate and then passing it off over to Carlo Branch.
Yeah,
but has the audacity to tell reporters what to ask, and then when you ask a question and it's not to your liking, you mute people. So answer your phone, girl. Answer your phone.
Should anyone be fired over this, Tomas?
Do your job. Don't pass it off.
I know that's not my call to make, but if any, we talked about this before. We both know folks on the team. I think I've worked with them briefly as well. And the idea that they used to be former reporters is also a little troubling.
No, she's a former news director.
Yeah.
Not just a reporter.
That just makes the entire situation even more troubling. The fact that they were former members of the press. And
so, do you think that
happen after this? But that's just really.
Do you think that there's any reporter DNA left in Janella and Crystal? Because you're right. But I think the reason why the administration went so hard after them was because they thought that by bringing in people who used to be in the media, that they were just going to be buddies with the media, and it was going to be like we're all BFFs, and it didn't really work out that way, did it?
No, and I hope that they just do better and have more time for more than 2 questions.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Okay, hopefully, okay. Hey, Tomas, it's Jace, man. Good morning, and thanks for working. And I just wanted to jump in because I don't know if you guys are paying attention to the comment stream because obviously, Tomas, you're on the phone with us. Chris is back and forth, but this has been the most quotable episode of Containing COVID we have ever had today. I mean, Mike Israel was on maybe about an hour and a half earlier, and I mean, that dude is YouTube caption gold from like all the gems he was giving us. And I just wanted to jump in and say, Bree, there's already a hashtag that people are using in the comments. Answer your phone, girl. You said that 45 seconds, whatever, a minute and a half ago and everything. People are already using the hashtag. So I think this reinforces
keeping it real.
This reinforces the point, though. It's and that is the purpose of the media is we are being the proxy for public sentiment.
Mm-hmm. But I think in the administration eyes, they just think of the media as just a hassle. They're always on our back. They won't shut up about Tony Babauta. They won't shut up about the federal aid. Checks. God, stupid media, we did this recovery plan for you guys, and you just want to ask your stupid questions about Tony Babauta.
Okay, speaking
the federal aid. God, no more poor people questions.
Speaking of stupid, this may be a completely ridiculous viewpoint, but you guys feel free to let me know. Okay.
Yeah, it is. If it's coming from you, probably.
Probably, yeah. Throughout this whole pandemic, right, we've seen and we've interacted with, of course, our friends in journalism, and before we had to go basically on lockdown, we're shoulder to shoulder with these guys in every press conference anyway, right? So we're friends and we're collegial with the Guam journalists. There have been a couple occasions, especially when the U.S. Theodore Roosevelt came out here, when we've had international media join in the Zoom call. I wonder if Adelup would have tried the same thing if we had Wall Street Journal and Washington Post on the line too. Because, Guam journalists, obviously we're reacting to it. We're going to do something about it as an industry. Those guys, they won't let that slide either. And that's big time, baby.
Yeah, well, 8:46.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Right. Thank you, Tomas Manglotny. I think I accidentally hung up on him. But yeah, so we just wanted to get his perspective here. We're taking a little break, and we're coming back with Mr. Bob Fenton, who is the FEMA Region 9 Administrator. And, we definitely have some questions for Mr. Fenton, right?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
And, he's FEMA Frank's boss.
Yeah, so whatever we asked FEMA Frank that FEMA Frank couldn't answer, we're going to take it. We're going to take it up the chain of command. It's KUAM News' takeover of Guam's favorite I-94, Containing COVID. Good morning.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
Yeah. I throw this one out here. Laddie Stone Soldiers. Let it be known we rep Guam and the CNMI. Reunify. Good morning, 854. It's the KUAM News takeover of Guam's favorite. I-94. There's so many ways to catch the show. Of course, right here on the radio where it all began. I got a really nice message from a friend yesterday. And I want to share with you guys. I'm not going to say her name, but I just thought it was really like, they write, was comparing quarantine life with post-typhoon life for a friend who just moved here in the last 3 years. And one of the connectors of these moments is your voice. I remember listening to Hit Radio 94 Jams all day long after Paka, Pongsungwa, Chataan. It's comforting that your voice is still very present at this time. So grateful for your commitment to keeping us informed. It's a big responsibility, and KUAM is doing amazing. Well, thank you so much, Bree. Yeah. Let's get Sabrina on here, and then we'll get your mask. Yeah. I want to just get Adriana Cotero on the show here, as I know her ears have probably been burning since yesterday afternoon because everybody is talking.
Ears burning, blood boiling.
Great job to you, and actually great job to all the media.
Yeah,
trying to get their questions in.
You know what's really interesting to me is as the transparency and the accessibility has dwindled, one thing that has definitely grown is the cooperation between media outlets. I mean, we're always a little competitive, right? But I think at this time with COVID-19 and we're all struggling to get the most basic information out to our people. And so I think it's really interesting in that we had the Post yesterday doing a story talking about you and other media outlets, and we're playing clips from reporters from other media outlets, and this is not something we would have probably normally have done 3 months ago, but now it's kind of like we're all on the same page, and I think it's great, and I really think that's where the administration screwed up.
Well, in a time of a crisis, everyone should be joining forces, right, and coming together, and there shouldn't be any sort of I do not like that that sometimes Adelup does get defensive, because there shouldn't be any defense in this, and if anything, we should just all be working together, because at the end of the day, we're trying to we're just trying to get the word out. That's all we want to do. And the questions I ask, I'm not a small business owner. I'm not unemployed. I'm not struggling to make ends meet every single day, but people are. So these are the people's questions. They may have muted me, but really they muted the people. And I know people have even reached out to me and they're asking me, did you receive an apology yet? This and that. But I don't, I really don't feel like I'm deserving of one. I think that Adelup deserves to tell the people that they're sorry, because they're the ones that deserve an apology, because they muted them. They muted their questions. They muted their concerns. They muted their problems and basically said that they don't care.
Right. And it's not just the media, too. It's the fact that you hear this from the second branch of government, the legislature, demanding transparency, demanding accountability. And you have mayors that are finding out about plans that affect their constituents directly, not knowing what's going on until they hear it from the media.
Mm-hmm. And we hear it from we get people calling us. And it's sad. It's sad here. It is, being a journalist, it's hard to hear some of these things, but it is almost our driving force that makes us want to keep pushing for these questions, and pushing these questions and wanting to get these answers, because we know that people are struggling. And, typically, just from me covering past natural disasters, or what have you, I was there in the middle of it, but I can't be there with these people and actually sit there, because it is, we're dealing with the virus, but we're hearing their stories, and they're they're public outcries. They need help and they need the assistance. And if anything, they need some sort of answer at the very least. Even if it's not here, when are they going to get it? What can they plan for? How can they plan to make ends meet? How can they continue with their day?
Even before we started Containing COVID, this radio show, I had messaged Adelup and I had said, we are going to start this radio show. And this radio show really is to get the information out.
Right.
Let people know what's happening.
Yeah.
And we invite you to come on the show every single day to get the information out.
It never was, hey, let's go do a radio show and bash on the governor for 4 hours.
It was not like that.
Hey, let's go do a radio show so we
even,
can...
even when I talked to John Jr. Calvo, who's the deputy chief of staff, I told him that we're in this together. There's no competition here. Use us. Let us know what you need.
Right. No, exactly. And it is, I know, it's frustrating because they're getting very defensive with it, and I honestly don't understand it, because if anything, they should be acting with empathy throughout all of this.
And the fact that you know what you just said about people struggling, people suffering, the fact that the governor, the lieutenant governor, the communications director look at the media asking these questions like we got 3 heads. It's to me, it speaks volumes. They're just so out of touch. I mean, the governor cannot even summon the most basic emotion of empathy or compassion.
No,
I mean,
when I read that letter, the small business owner letter, and then she had responded at the press conference and then came back with the one video. I was honestly, I think I even messaged Sabrina and I said, I couldn't believe that. I was like, is this for real? Am I watching? She's using the exact same words. And it's like, that small business owner, it took a lot for him to stand up and write that and say something like that. And he wanted that message to get told to the governor. So yes, I did say, okay, let me just, cut through all the middlemen and say that, let me put the message, put the letter out there. But for her to come back and use his words against him, and then it's insensitive is what it is.
No,
it was incredibly insensitive.
It's sad that we're even talking about this right now, when we should be talking about how are we going to help people.
Yeah. We shouldn't be talking about Tony Babauta, Hanky Panky, and the penthouse suite at Packstar. We shouldn't. It would just be so easy. And again, you got a awesome policy director. You got all these spin doctors up there. Why is it that all of these great minds who are being compensated with hundreds of thousands of our taxpayer dollars, why can't they get how simple it is to just talk about the chief of staff staying at the hotel and not ignore it and not respond to it with a text message? I mean, they just fear the light so much. I can't wrap my mind around it.
And, yesterday with the question I did ask, I feel like I don't understand how taxpayer dollars are not relative to recovery or into this. I mean, sure, they want to try and control, but they do not have any control. First of all, the government does not. This isn't a dictatorship. They do not have the authority to control what press or the people ask. They can say that they want to decline to comment, but to be muted midway through my question and then not be allowed a follow up.
They really don't like you, girl. They really don't like you.
And I mean, so be it. I mean, it's not about me at the end of the day. It's not about me. It's about the people. So it's okay. I mean, it is what it is. But
live to ask another day, Adriana.
Yeah. Maybe today at 1 p.m. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see, though.
To see if we're getting a press conference.
What was the response you got?
Oh, I haven't received one. Janelle hasn't responded to me since last night either. So.
Well, she responded to me.
Oh, are we getting competitive now, Chris?
I said, is there a press conference today? And she said, we'll advise. So we were already saying after the press conference yesterday that there's no way that they're going to do, because what's their excuse going to be today? We're only going to answer questions about what a cloudy day it is.
See, and at the end of the day, you can't do that. They cannot.
We're only going to answer your question if you start off with 5 compliments for the governor.
They can't. They can say I decline comment, and that's an answer in itself. So, but even if I was allowed that follow up, I would have said something along those lines that they don't have the authority to tell me what I can and can't ask. So here's my next question. You can decline to comment, but I'm going to let people hear this question.
And part of it is Zoom, like the Zoom app. It's an app that you can mute people, and I think when they found that out, they're like, we're going to go with this app. And, the muting, to me, it's problematic because everybody, you guys watch these press conferences. When we do ask one of our two questions, and you can respond in the comments, do you feel like the governor and her team are answering the questions they are being asked? Because I don't think they are. I mean, you could ask a yes or no question and get, a 5,000 word answer that doesn't even answer the question.
Yeah. Which
But Adriana, where it goes wrong is if you ask a question and then you get a baloney answer, you are on mute and you can't say, hey, that didn't even, and then they're on to the next.
No, yeah, and you can't clarify yourself. And I think I'm pretty notorious right now during the press conferences for asking multiple questions and long questions, and that's okay. I'll take that title. But it's because I only get two questions and, I get muted instantly right after my first question. So I only have a small window in between the first question and the second question to even clarify the slightest bit before I get muted again.
Right.
So, and we're already adhering to that policy that they wanted to put in place. And, as much as I do still find that rather ridiculous, but if it's what we have to do in order to get a couple questions a day, then for the people, then of course, then
you're right. We dealt with that.
I'm gonna have to do that, but I'm not gonna ask a question that they want me to ask. That's where I think there's a problem there.
And I'm glad that we weren't the only media. I mean, even if we were the only media to ask and to get shut down, then so be it. I'm very proud of you and our team. But we weren't. There was other media who were like, oh, hell no, we're not going to, what? Yeah. You're trying to tell us what to ask? We haven't even seen you in 6 days, and you want to try and tell us what to ask? Mm-hmm. And I got to agree, Adriana, with what you and Tomas said. It's not about the media. I mean,
it's not.
We're the messenger, pretty much, We're the middleman, We're trying to get answers for the people of Guam. And when you can't do that, and it would have been so easy. And that's why I really don't feel sorry for this administration, because everything you're not supposed to do, they're doing it 5 times. Mm-hmm. And they're bringing it on themselves. And it's unfortunate because when you have good people out here trying to, fight COVID-19, people like, I guess Linda DeNorsi, who has other things on her mind, like eradicating COVID-19, community testing. Why should she have to go and defend the governor's boy, Tony Babauta? Why should she have to do that? Why do you guys cast her in that light and make her deal with your political nonsense and then wonder why people don't believe anything the government says? Oh my God.
No, I hear you. But people are seeing it, so at least people see it.
Right, they do, and that's
because we're not controlling what they're doing, like they're trying to control our questions. So they're deciding. They're the ones making that decision. So you want to press that mute button? Everyone just saw you do that.
Yeah, Gemma has a comment. The mute button is like a rude gesture and a slap in the face. They only want to hear what they want to hear, Ronica writes in. Tony writes in, her press conferences are a joke. No one wants to look at graphs and charts. The people want answers. Adriana, they should be happy you're asking the questions. They're breaking a lot of rules. Yep, they are.
Yeah.
Well, so what are we gonna? We're gonna make a bet, Adriana. How much are we gonna bet if there's a press conference today? What do you think, Bree?
I don't think so.
You want to bet lunch?
I'm trying to be optimistic here.
Yeah, that's your problem.
I'm trying to be optimistic. So I'm going to say there's going to be a press conference at 1, but it's actually not going to start until 1:30.
1:45. That's another thing.
There's going to be a press conference at 1, but maybe 1:15. And if not at 1:15, definitely before 1:30. And if not 1:30, it'll be sometime around that time.
Something as simple as that. It's like, you guys are so clueless. You are so clueless that you don't know that all the people of Guam have to do, because we're not working. I mean, they're not working. They're not eating. No. They're not getting money. All they got to do is focus on this press conference. And that's why that's one of the silver linings is I always want more people to pay attention to what the government's doing. Sometimes pre-COVID, people are like, God, shut up, Chris. We don't care. We don't care. We got this, God stuff, whatever. We know. But now it's like everyone's paying attention. Everyone's seeing it. And something as simple as you tell the people of Guam you're having a press conference at 1 p.m., You don't even show up until 1:38, 1:40, 1:30, 1 whatever it is. And then you don't even apologize. I'm sorry I'm late, or oh, I was in a series of meetings or whatever.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the media, but like I said, it's not for the media, it's for the people. So if there is an apology that comes after yesterday's press conference, because I do think that the people deserve an apology, because these are their questions, these are their concerns, these are their lives, these are their realities, and this is what they're dealing with on the daily basis. And they didn't mute me, they muted the people.
Right. Thank you, Adriana.
I don't think it's a difficult thing to respond. When are we going to get our stimulus checks? What is an update on the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, the FPUC? I mean, these are the questions that we see every single day. When are you going to pay tax refunds? Not within the 6-month district court settlement agreement. When are you going to provide some sort of a bridge?
And
before?
They said, and with that, I mean,
Even if they say the same thing over and over again, I mean, you're responding, you're answering, or even explain it that, we're having a hard time. We're not the only ones. But to be insensitive and just be like, okay, next question.
Right. Yeah.
Even if they don't, if that's another actually like a very good point, Reed, that you bring up, is because with that plan where they're waiting for the approval, well, maybe just explain the process then, so then we can all understand it. Explain it so we can all be there and go through it with you. That way we have some sort of idea, because we don't need you to get defensive and say, if I had the money, I would give it to you. We need you to just tell us why we're not getting it and when they can get it, So explain the process to get that approved. If you don't have the answer, just explain the process. And I think that's something, I am very surprised by even Janella and Crystal, because they used to be in the media, and they were news reporters. So I'm really surprised that isn't something that they have.
Yeah, but it's almost like one of those things where you have someone who used to be a Jedi Knight, and then they turn over to the dark side, and now they're a Sith Lord, and they got the red lightsaber.
Oh, I don't know, but
Jay.
Oh, okay. Adriana, hi. Good morning.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, we miss you, man. There are a couple questions. I mean, you're getting a lot of support from our online community. A lot of people are saying, continue to do what you do. We're proud of you. That's not easy to do, obviously. But people are actually asking you right now, and they're like, when the press conference went offline, were you able to pose your questions at all, or did you actually get any sort of reasoning? People are asking, even if privately about the whole process behind that.
I did message Janella, and I'll just go through the message. And I did ask her under what authority the government has to control press or people's questions. I said, we're already adhering to your one question and follow up. Then we get muted, and that's already pushing it. You do have the authority to decline a comment, but to not allow me to even have a follow up, can you please explain? So then she said, you were allowed to finish your question. She said, I was muted by accident, but we unmuted you right away. I was very clear multiple times that questions should be relevant to COVID recovery plan, and that any questions outside of the plan will be addressed after the press conference. So then I went back and I had asked her then, does that mean that KUAM can have an interview with the governor herself on these matters on our radio segment then? Like, let's address these questions, right? Outside of the press conference. That's not, and she said, you can make the request and send the questions to me. So then I sent her the questions and I did make the request. So, yeah.
You gotta send the governors your questions in advance. I think she's a big girl. She should be able to answer big people questions.
And I'm someone that's very against sending questions before, but at the end of the day, I'm like, well, these are questions that people need. So I'm slightly bending them. I'm like, I guess I'm gonna have to, but I did send her the two that I asked yesterday, and the second one that I did, and then I believe I sent the response. I think you guys read it earlier in the group. So I did get a little bit of a response, but the response isn't coming from the governor, and we want to hear from the governor. So that's why I asked questions during the press conference, because this is the only time we get our island leader. This is the only time.
It's the only time we've had her in the last 6 days. Remember, they didn't do a press conference Friday. They didn't do one Saturday. They didn't do one Sunday. They didn't do one.
Yeah, they did one Monday.
They did one Monday, but was she there?
Yes, she was.
She was there Monday.
She was there Monday.
Okay.
Then Tuesday there was none. Wednesday there
Wednesday
was,
the,
but it was Esteves.
The doctors.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I did ask her, I said, censoring the media, what do you have to say in response to that? And she said, you were not censored. You were permitted to finish asking your question. I previously stated multiple times questions outside of the recovery plan would be addressed after the press conference, which is exactly what I've done above. This concludes my statement. Thank you. And then I responded.
You were like, oh, hold on.
She didn't.
That concludes. Oh, no, I ain't concluded.
Then I responded, but I didn't receive a response after my response. But that's okay. I'm gonna censor myself for the radio on this.
All right.
Okay. Well, Adriana, speaking of responses, you have now joined apparently a very elite and distinct club here on the show because Chris and Sabrina, I'm sure you know, leading up to your interview, have had their own comments turned into hashtags. Like get Janella on was what Chris said. That became a hashtag very quickly. Bree was like, answer your phone, girl. Adriana, you have now become Adriana, you rock. That is a hashtag people are using in our comment stream. And someone put simply, Adriana, go get him, Tiger.
Wow.
Got it.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Well, I just got asked what kind of questions you got for today. I'm curious, so.
You know what? At the end of the day, like I said, it's for the people. My questions are for the people. So I think everything I ask today is going to be in regards to getting the federal assistance and where we are with that plan. Because I did bring that question forward on Monday, and we never got any specific details. So,
right.
You know what? That's what it comes down to. Where are we with getting the money in the people's pockets that they need? So that's what my questions will be on today. Because that's what they want to know. That's what we need. That's what we need to know.
Yeah,
that's what we need to know.
Okay.
And that's what it comes down to. So it'll be like that. But I'll probably make it a lot longer and add multiple questions in it. But
right.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I'll
Adriana. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Wash your hands.
Yeah, you too.
Okay, bye.
She's got another hashtag now.
Yeah.
She's got another hashtag. All of a sudden, she's hashtag Lady Boss Adriana.
9:15. We got to get Bob Fenton from FEMA Region 9 on. Bob, good morning. I'm sorry about that. There's a lot going on. Are you there? Okay, might have lost him. Oh, well. 9:15. We are Guam's favorite, I-94. We're going to take a little bit of a break here, a quick one, and come back with more guests here on the show. I'll do a little news from the KUAM news team. Jonah Gonchar first. Good morning, Guam.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we...
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD. Be healthy. Be informed with ITD.
in this war against COVID-19, it's going to take all of us to do our part.
We are all frontliners in this epic battle.
And on Tuesday, May 5th, we're asking you to answer the call to help by taking part in Giving Tuesday Now.
It's part of a global initiative to set aside this one day for the pandemic crisis.
To step up and give a donation to any of our island's nonprofit organizations,
the hospital, the Mayor's Council of Guam, or any of our frontline workers. Whether it's PPEs, gloves, masks, canned goods, no donation is too small. Anything and everything will help.
And if you make your donation, take a picture, post it on social media, and use the hashtag GivingTuesdayNow and GivingTuesday Guam.
And then later that night, make sure to tune in for our half-hour special Giving Tuesday Guam, Together We Give. We'll showcase how everyone is taking part.
And services. For more than 27 years, McDonald's has been committed to serving our customers, taking care of our people, and giving back to the community. Today, our
New self-storage, conveniently located near the Harmon McDonald's. We offer affordable rates, online payments, and auto bill pay for your convenience. Plus, gate access daily from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Call us today at 648-7867 for more information.
KUAM News COVID-19 Takeover on I-94 FM is presented locally by Ambrose Inc.
Keeping you informed, KUAM News brings you Banking 671, brought to you by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank, and Coast 360 Federal Credit Union. Together, we thrive.
With the new challenges we're all facing, First Hawaiian Bank wants to make sure you have access to your financial world. With FHB Online and our mobile app, we hope to make banking the least of your worries. Visit fhb.com/digital.
Guam is hot. They like to mute the reporters a lot. Remix, where the censorship day begins.
Hey!
Try to use that. Guam, where your censorship day, America's censorship day begins.
We got to get you on Live Local Fridays.
Right? 9:21. It is the first day of May. Let's get Senator Joe San Augustine on. I wanted to get you on. Good morning, Senator.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Hi.
I see you got Jason there. You got Sabina there.
Yeah, we're pretty packed in here. I just, first of all, I know you pay attention. What did you think of that press conference yesterday, Senator?
I don't think that was right. Any questions the news want, they should be able to get an answer. That should have been very simple. I mean, it as often as you try to get a hold of me, and I'm trying to get my notes together first before I want to talk to you. You know how I am, Chris. Get my notes first so that I don't deny you information you ask me. Because, I get Nessa, I get everybody else to call me, and then I try to give them as much as I can.
Right.
Well, I know that you wrote a letter yesterday to the Department of Administration Director, Edward Byrne. They're talking about the double pay, and you were requesting an explanation for the non-compliance. Did you ever get a response?
Well, I didn't get a response from DOA, and I reached out to the AG's office, and they're looking at it because, when I wrote the letter and I explained to them, is that it's very specific. It's under the rules and regulations that all the autonomous agencies are applying or has adopted, and they're using it. I'm hearing that GPA and GWA is paying the double pay, so why the disparity? Let's get everybody on the same track, follow the same rule, and just pay them. Because I didn't understand on Bill 326 when the governor said that it'll cost $36 million. Well, Governor, it'll cost you $36 million, but you got 117, or is it 129 you got? And if we're all on the same sheet of music, the CARES Act or the response from the federal government, the U.S. government, was that it was to relieve the states and territories for their response to the pandemic. So this is a response to the pandemic. Let's pay the employees what they should be paid, and then also let's go back and let's do the Bill 340 that Senator Lee did, and let's go back and let's do the Bill 313 that Senator Talina Nelson brought up, which is the unemployment and the give some stimulus out there, because it'll be similar. I think that it shouldn't be that hard if it's all related to COVID, that they can't ask that when they kick out the stimulus and when they kick out the pandemic, the unemployment, they can reimburse the system and it just keeps going.
Yeah, and I think that might have been one of the things that was covered in the guidance that the Treasury had released. Did you see that?
And Chris, I know that you guys are aware that we're going to go into session Tuesday, and we're talking about transparency. My office, the Office of Finance and Budget, been asking questions, and we haven't gotten any. So that it's like, gosh, all we wanted was transparency. If you're going to tell the people well, I got to follow my guidelines. Well, you've had a week, or did you have 2 weeks, or you know what you submitted, and if you got an approval, so it shouldn't be that hard to just follow it, and then let everybody know what's going on, because I honestly believe, Chris, that if everybody knows what's going on, everybody will be a little bit more calmer, and they won't be so aggressive, and they'll just be asking the question, well, can we get some sort of a relief? Because everybody's waiting for that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so what about that RISE bill with Senator Regina? I know you mentioned it. Did you mention that? Because is that going to be reintroduced in session next week? What have you heard about that, Senator?
Well, I reached out to Senator Lee. I said, well, it was introduced, so it's still in the bin, so to speak. It's still in the docket where it can be brought back up. And I've asked her. I says, let's bring it back up. If all the money that's coming was to help the people of Guam, then we need to help them. It's just ironic how the governor did a good deal when she did her stimulus for 10,000 below.
Right.
But we need to understand that Bill 340 was introduced before she came up with that plan. And there's nothing wrong with her plan, but the 340 was to reach out to anybody making 40,000 and below.
Right.
I mean, just to give $400, just to keep them, on their feet, at least for a little bit.
Buy some
and
groceries.
Then we can move on.
Yeah.
But then it went down to 1,200, and I guess the explanation was, well, the stimulus is 1,200. Well, the stimulus could have been 10,000. That doesn't mean you're going to give them what the federal government is giving. You give what you can afford.
Right.
And I believe that the Bill 340 would have just cost $15 million, whereas the 10,000 and below cost $11 million. And gosh, we could have reached more folks. I mean, sure, $1,200 is always good for anybody, but if you can get $400, $500, $600, I think you'd be happy because you got something, and we can work at figuring out a way how to get more out there. Because if you got a line of people getting to grab and go at the schools, can you imagine how many others that don't have a right are trying to figure out how to get some of that food?
Right. And what's interesting is the fact that you are the committee chair on finances, right? You would think that if the speaker's not informed, you would be, in terms of where we are, where the government is financially, because you still, at the end of the day, have to come up with the budget for next fiscal year. And where are we, by the way, on that?
Well, the last, I guess, CRE report that came out showed that, and if you look back just a couple of months, we were first at 33 million ahead of the projected revenue. And then in February, when the report came out, it had a dip, a losing of 15 million or something like that. And then in March report, it dipped even further. We went into the red. And as we're going down this road, if we reach a threshold of 3%, less than what's projected, we expect the administration to present to us a realignment budget for the remainder of the year. It may be running late for that, but at the end of the day, we're looking at already the budget for 2021. And we all know the businesses have been closed with the tourism, which is we have a three-legged industry out here. We got the federal government, the military, and their employees, and we got the Guam, and then we got the tourism, which is the other part of the population. And if we're missing one leg, but you can't expect the money that you projected in January, pre-pandemic.
The $1 billion budget?
Yeah, it's not going to work. I'm very confident it's not going to happen. I'm not going to support that one. And we're looking at the numbers, and we're looking at, I hate to say it this way, but it may be less.
Yeah.
I'm not promoting furloughs, but I am also going to be stressing maybe a realignment, maybe a consolidation of agencies, maybe even considering just freezing the hiring. And let's get back on track so we can get on the block.
Mm-hmm. But do you have anything in front of you that was provided by the administration to let you know?
Well, Sabina, what they finally provided, you have to remember that in March they were supposed to provide us the digest of their budget.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get it until April. It's a month late. So we our OFB office, our office has been reaching out to them saying, hey, you owe us some documents. Give us the documents. They finally got some of it to us, but at the same token, remember, it's pre-pandemic. It's before the virus.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's like, why don't you? I mean, we've even asked them and reached out and said, maybe you may want to reconsider resubmitting a new budget because now we're going to a crisis. Because what was pre-pandemic is not applicable today.
Right.
And that's just calling it straight out. I mean, if you believe that you're still going to get the tourism to fly in October, November, December, we're hoping.
So what information, what input did you have in the Road to Recovery plan? Were you able to provide any input on it? And if you
on the recovery plan, you mean you're talking about their economic group?
Yeah, Chalan para Yenemlu.
We weren't invited. I mean, I was told by the speaker that we would be included, but that was really ongoing. And while we're looking at it on the sideline, it's quite frustrating over the legislature where every senator is asking, tell us what you got. And that's the key. It's like, well, sharing is caring, right? Sabina, if you share it with us, then we can care about what we need to do together as one.
Right.
And that's the problem we're faced with. And helping out the administration, helping out the people of Guam is something that we should all be working towards. And first, the people of Guam, because it's the people of Guam that makes the government of Guam. It's not just us.
How hard do you think it's going to be to get Lester and Ed Byrne down there, committee of the whole, under oath, Senator, and are you prepared to subpoena them?
Oh, I like how you say that because I am prepared for that part. We do have a schedule. I do have a schedule SES, which is going to be basically detail exactly the questions we need. I don't know if you guys received it. If not, I'll make sure that we send you a copy of it. And if they don't provide the answer to the questions we ask, maybe an oversight and a subpoena to follow it or to be with it to make sure we get the answers, because it's all about transparency, Chris. It's not a Joe Snoxon thing. It's the people of Guam that needs to know what's going on, and we in the body needs to know so that we know how to move forward, because we introduce bills based on the information we're provided and what we see out in the community, and that's how all the senators are working. We're all working just for the people.
Well, that's good to hear, Senator.
Is there anything else you want to ask me? Unfortunately, I know you've been calling Chris, and I apologize, but
yeah, it's okay. We're here now, Senator. Whatever. Okay, we're here. Let's just keep the line of communication open, because obviously you're the point man down at the legislature with the government of Guam's finances. So we definitely want to have an open line of communication with you, Senator.
Not a problem. Let's just time it right so that, and as soon as I get a response from the AG, I will forward you a copy of it without any problem.
Let me ask you, so in the veto message of that COVID double pay differential sliding thingamabob, the administration the governor had said that, if you want us to pay the $36 million, we can pay it, but it's going to result in furloughs.
Well, Chris, I look at it this way. Okay, it's going to cost you $36 million. You receive, 117 or 129? The exact amount, I'm not too sure. I think you can just minus it from that account because it's COVID related. Because it's not something that you would do all the time.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, this is specifically just to this event.
Right.
And if we can do that, great. Now, at the same token, we did get a message that there's another bill that Senator Nelson is seriously considering and removing the double pay. Well, for me, that's great, but I like to first, let's get over the hurdle of the rules and regulations adopted by all GovGuam, autonomous and all, that says you pay the double pay in emergency. I'm just hoping that the agencies that are recording the employees that were told to come in, they didn't come in on their own will. Remember, they were told, your administrative leave, you stay home. Everyone was told to come in. I'm hoping their timesheet is recording that they did come in. Don't present to us that, well, we marked them as regular pay. No. They came in. You need to have an asterisk or something on their timesheet saying, these are the folks that came in and do the double pay. Then we can move forward, because everything else on Bill 326, when she said it's going to cost money, and she may have to pursue the furlough. Well, the furlough is not something. It's not an idea that I support at all. It's all about financial management, and if you take a look at what we're dealing with, the question would be: you've declared an emergency. The federal government said we also support you on the federal disaster. FEMA comes into place. The U.S. Congress passed stimulus. Let's take a look at what you submitted. Tell us what you got and what is it for, and then let's work together. And if you have a plan, Governor, great. I'm happy you have a plan. Provide and share with everybody else so everybody can understand and get on the same sheet of music.
I wanted you if you could clarify, I believe it was 324 that the governor vetoed, right? I'm not sure if the number's correct, but 324.
326.
326. Okay, Bill 326, she vetoed it. It had the sliding scale of differential pay, the 2015 and 10. That was enacted through executive order, correct?
The executive order enacted for her to do her sliding scale.
Right. And so it was included in Bill 326, which was vetoed?
Well, what was included in 326 was if I'm correct, we did a combination of all the stuff.
Right, including the double pay. Including the double pay.
But see, Sabina, if we can get the government first to entertain and address and apply the double pay, then tell us that any additional pay, it should be inclusive. I mean, a good example is that if we say, like, for example, if you're working and you're getting hazardous pay and all those other additional pay, and the emergency comes in, the double pay just goes right in, and then it fits right in. Now, if the governor wanted to, we need to give additional pay now to our first liners, our first responders, and so forth, then let us know what you like to do and how you want to do it, so that we can go down the same road and see how it's financially acceptable.
Was that sliding scale differential pay paid out? Are you aware?
I think it's getting paid out the next payday is what I heard.
Well, but see, Chris, why is it always the next payday?
Right, it's been the next payday for how many paydays already?
Yes, exactly. And remember, this didn't just start yesterday. It started a month or two ago.
Right.
So why don't we just get up to date? Let's get up to date with the standard first of the rule, and then you can go in and say, okay, we owe you this percentage for this. It's a retroactive pay, but the double pay is the standard of the rule. I mean,
right. People expect it, Senator.
It can't do it.
So we don't know whether or not that sliding scale differential pay was paid out.
It hasn't. It's being processed, Senator. Because I spoke to Carlo about this the other day, and he said that it was up at DOA and that it hadn't been paid out yet, but that it was going to be processed and paid out. So I just sent a FOIA.
So we're going to pay that, but we're not going to pay the double pay, even though it's in the rules and regs.
It's just crazy, and that's what a lot of Guam workers, especially people on the front lines, are saying, is that we are risking this with the idea that we're going to be compensated in a way that we've been compensated before during other disasters. So
that's correct.
There's a feeling they feel like they're getting they are getting shortchanged. You know what I mean?
Definitely, they're getting very badly shortchanged.
And they're pissed off about it. And it's so bad that we had DOE staff that went to go get tested at Stumbo. When the governor walked by, they didn't want to say hi to the governor because they were so upset that they're not getting the pay that they're supposed to be getting.
I honestly believe, Chris, if work performed, they do, and it doesn't matter. If in any business and in the government, if you call somebody in any disaster, there should have been already a plan on how to pay them. and then how to fund it. And if need be, the body, the legislature, is ready to help out. If you need the authorization, we'll give you the authorization. The downtown has the transfer authority. Transfer the money you need to transfer. They did it already. They even sent us a message saying that they restored everybody that money was transferred from. Great.
Yeah.
But you still have the same transfer authority. If you need to pay it, pay it. And then let's move forward and figure out how to reimburse the government for expenditure, because at the end of the day, Chris, as long as there's no revenue coming in because the business is not open, and I'm not saying money before life, no. What I'm saying is that as long as nothing is happening on Guam, we need to figure out a way how to get it going on Guam, and so that it keeps the public, the public service going.
Yeah.
Because everybody's waiting.
Senator, just real quick, if you could just respond to this, and then we got to run because we got to do some GVB stuff. There's a comment, and I asked Vice this too. Why are we talking about double pay, differential pay for government workers when we have, tens of thousands of hotel, restaurant, and retail workers at home getting nothing?
And that's why I go back to Chris, is that Bill 340 will give them what's called a rise, some stimulus money out, and then also Senator Nelson's Bill 313, so we can get our own unemployment act going out. We need to do something to help the people that are unemployed and are hoping for some kind of relief. And that's what we've all pursued in the legislature. And you saw the veto. So we're going to try to figure this out. And come Tuesday, there's going to be some serious discussion about our own unemployment act and our own stimulus act.
Do it. I feel like you guys gotta do your job, Senator. People want you guys to do your job. The governor, obviously, they're disappointed with what's happening in Adelup, and the focus is on you guys. It's time for you guys to rise.
Oh, and we will rise Tuesday. I hate to say this, but you can almost expect the transparency bill will probably get overridden, and then we'll move on to the additional bills because I do also have a bill 323 that talks about the Recovery Act for the small business. We're going to reach out and we're going to do what we need to do, and if it keeps getting vetoed, then I guess we'll keep going in the session to override what we need to override, what we believe is rightful for the people of Guam, and we move on.
How will you vote on 333?
Oh, I'm going to vote. Transparency is the key. I mean, that's all I've been asking is show me what you got so I know how to work with you guys. But if they don't want to show it right away and they believe they don't have to, well, we're going to go ahead and just override. I'm going to support 333 and just move on from there.
Okay, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
All right.
Okay.
We'll get you on next week. We'll try and get you on weekly. We'll shoot you a day, whatever day, just to update us on the budget and the finances and all that stuff, okay?
Well, yeah. It should. Hopefully, it'll be after the SES, which is
right. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. Thanks, Senator.
Take care.
Okay. 9:41. Let's keep it going here and get Primo Josh from the Guam Visitors Bureau on.
Not that Josh.
Not that. This is the right Josh T for this time. From
how you doing?
How you doing, Josh? Good morning.
Hafide, good morning. How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. I know that you guys have got a big thing going on this afternoon, but we wanted to bring you on, say good morning, and then we're going to go ahead and play this video here that you guys had put out. Do I have that, sir? Yes, I do.
I gave it to you guys.
Okay, I got it. Yeah, so we're going to play. This is the Give Us a Moment video. Josh, if you don't mind, we're just going to play this for our audience here to kind of let them know what the message is going out to the world community from our tiny island.
Our island is a gift that we have shared with the world. But in the stillness of today, our island is asking everyone to give us a moment. To be with our family, Ifamagonte, our children, our grandchildren, Itanota, our land, our thoughts, to be creative. Fan hungry, to have faith. To be with the things we know and the things you've come to love. Give us a moment and we will share one together soon.
Visitors Bureau, and let's get Josh back on. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like this one a lot better than the other one that came out. But
Josh, who was the narrator there? I had a lot of people asking me who's the voice in that.
That is Auntie Natty.
That's Auntie Natty. I knew it. Yeah. See, I'm used to hearing her prayer voice.
She is Nico Fujikawa, our director of tourism research's grandmother.
Nice.
So, if everyone's met her in person, she's so she's
amazing lady. Love her so much.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
So I love her energy, and I think this was just like the icing on the cake for like once we heard her voice and Nico volunteered her to voice it over. Like all of us were just like, oh my God, we need her to voice all these. All these.
Yeah.
Do you have an agent? Can we?
And Auntie Natty, I saw her. She is a survivor, actually, of the Japanese occupation. And she was one of the featured speakers, I want to say 2 years ago, at the Menengan Memorial Ceremony.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
I mean, she took me to pick Lumut. We did a whole novena thing. She's awesome lady. Josh, you guys got a webinar. Can we just jump on that? What is going on Guam Visitors Bureau this afternoon?
Yes, so we decided that as part of our crisis communications that we were trying to reach out to the industry and then collaborate with all these different agencies. We wanted to put together a way that we could reach out to the tourism industry and all the employers and businesses and give them like a good, important information that can help them. So we've already been collaborating with the Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association and the Guam Chamber of Commerce with our membership outreach movement, or MOM program. And so through this outlet, we've been reaching out to businesses and employers to get them to register to hire Guam with Guam Department of Labor. So putting all the pieces of the puzzle together, we wanted to do this webinar so that everyone can have updates, not just from GVB and GHRA and the Chamber, but more specifically from Department of Labor, because they're pretty strapped and they're overwhelmed with a lot of things. And so they reached out to us, and we decided to support them with resources in developing this webinar and inviting everyone to come join us. So it's going to be on Facebook Live from 1 to 3 p.m. on our Facebook page. And then, of course, we invited our KOAM family to be a part of it. And then, ask questions and get updates and see what the tourism industry's been doing and how can we help our businesses and employees that are suffering out there and that don't have jobs. So I think it's going to be insightful information, and it ties in all together with our Give Us a Moment campaign. This is our moment to help the visitor industry. And we're working hard behind the scenes in our own capacities, but I think this is an opportunity where we can show that we're working collectively together so that we can get through this situation. And there's just, it's affecting everyone on so many levels. And I just think that having all these different voices out there and getting those questions answered, I think, is a really important step in how we get through it.
And in the visitor industry, it's the hardest hit. I mean, we heard from Mike Israel earlier today. So it's good to know and to hear that you guys are coming together and collaborating, and especially right out the bat to have the Department of Labor Director Dave Della Sola on as your featured guest.
Right.
Yeah, and I know that there's a lot of resources they want to share with all of us, and they just don't have enough manpower, and so we're we're supporting them and augmenting their voice through this outlet, through this webinar. And so we if you want to join us, for everyone that's listening, please do so. Just go to our Facebook page or go to KUAM, and then you can. We're going to be monitoring our comments, and if you have any questions, we'll try to get them answered for you. And then we'll even if the questions aren't answered right then and there, we'll go ahead and reach out to all of the people that are involved, so we can get those answers for you. But yeah, I really believe that we'll get through it. But right now, it's like we just need to be pointed in the right direction with all the different resources that are available. And yeah.
Yeah, this sounds like the first of many more to come. It sounds like.
Yes, we want to do more. So this is our first webinar, and we'll see how it goes. But we definitely were we wanted more speakers, but unfortunately they weren't all available just yet. But I think we have a pretty good lineup so far, with GHRA and Chamber joining us, and Department of Labor. And so it's going to be a couple hours, and we're going to try to keep it right to the point, and so that everyone can get the information they need. And of course, we're going to post up our resources onto our website repository at GuamCaesarsBureau.com.
All right.
So,
Josh, we got to let you go.
Thank you so much,
thank you so much. That's 1 o'clock.
So good to hear from you guys. Please be safe.
Always,
you too.
man, yeah.
You too.
You guys.
Wash your hands.
Yes.
All right. Talk to you later, Josh.
Okay, there's Josh Tekenko, Guam Visitors Bureau. You know, real quick before we end on our good note, I wanted to put this out here because there was a meeting yesterday at Homeland Security Civil Defense, Bree, and this meeting was regarding something that we've been asking about for a long time, the plan to shelter the island's homeless in the midst of this. Well, not even in the midst of, I mean, we are, but you know what I mean? In the midst of this COVID-19 pandemic crisis. And so I had a source who attended the meeting. I want to share some of the information that this source has been giving me. And I just really am keyed in on this because we've had the Lieutenant Governor on.
Yes.
What did he say about the status of that plan? When we had him on, I know we asked him about it, and he said that, I think he said something like, yeah, it's moving along really good. And
right. They were fixing the bathrooms.
Right.
They were looking at getting the tents. And even FEMA Frank told us that the discussions, well, actually, they were talking about it, but I think they just started talking about it last week.
Yeah, but the impression that we got from Lieutenant Governor Josh and GORA Director Ray Tapasnia was that this plan was pretty much almost done.
We're talking about catering,
right?
Get Wi-Fi.
But my source begs to differ.
I know, that was like, Wi-Fi? What?
So first of all, on the remodeling of the bathrooms, they're not ready for disabled homeless, and they may not have enough tents yet. There are only 20 on the island, but there was a movement yesterday. They wanted to just open up this shelter on Saturday. I'm also hearing that the HHS folks on island do not support this plan to shelter the homeless. They referred to a recommendation that they be put in motels. There are 47 tents available for Saturday. That's not enough. We shouldn't bus people from villages until enough tents are available. So there's all kinds of problems. But I want to key in on something that my source had said that the Chief of Staff, Tony Babauta, had told the meeting, and was that the shelter at Paseo is 90% complete. Now I want to show you, if we could, some video that I shot yesterday at Paseo, because after that press conference, I don't know how I started thinking about the homeless. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go down there. Yeah. I'm just going to go down there because I'm tired of the excuses. I'm just so tired of it. And the people in the groups that advocate and support and fight for the homeless, they're tired of it too. So I guess this is what Tony Babauta thinks is 90% complete. We're going to get this on there. You guys can see that. It's some video I took yesterday, late yesterday afternoon, of Paseo. They're not done with the bathrooms. Obviously, they haven't done anything with the field. I'm not even sure if they have enough tents. And when I saw this, man, my jaw hit the grass, Bree, because, you know, the Lieutenant Governor and Ray Tapasnia have come on this show numerous times and been like, yeah, we're on it. God, all these people, what are they worried about? We've got this, you know? And as you can see, it doesn't really look like they got this. I mean, you got the Red Horse Squadron. They got it. But again, to me, it just speaks to the priorities of this administration. They don't want to answer questions about poor people having a hard time.
We've been hearing, yeah, it's soon.
Yeah, so does that look like, what do you guys think? Respond in the comments. Does that look like 90% complete to you?
That looks like an empty baseball field with some flags or...
Yeah, that's where they're going to put the tents, I guess, but... And what I'm hearing is all of this preparation, and the reason why it took so long is because, and, you know, vet it if you want, but what people are saying who advocate for the homeless is that they're understanding that the governor didn't want to spend any local money on this, and they were trying to get it all, you know, reimbursable by the federal government and whatnot.
Is this what's called congregate housing?
Yeah, so it's for like families. So I guess they're all going to get their own tent, and they're going to be staying in these tents. So I just wanted to share that with you guys here.
You'd have to deal with like the food, the security.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating.
And gosh, Linda DeNorsi said that starting Saturday, they were going to start going out into the communities and start testing homeless populations.
Right. Yeah.
Like in Agania.
I mean, we've had some positives in the homeless community. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because you know what? I get the feeling like maybe they heard that KUAM isn't going out in the field. And so they're like, we could just tell them whatever we want. Media's all hunkered down. They're staying home. They're not going out there. And so that's why I had to kind of go and check on that. And I think now we're ready for our good note. You want to end on a good note now?
Yeah, let's end on a good note. Something positive.
Yeah. I'm going to bring Katie up onto the show. Katie, can you just tell us a little bit about your group, and we'll get to the diaper drive. But I noticed that this is Para Todosit, and it's a group that you guys have come out advocating for, you know, rent freezes, eviction freezes, and now I see you guys are kind of turning the corner and doing something to get help out to people who obviously need it. So I guess a little bit about your group, and then we'll go into what you guys are doing.
Yes. So Para Todosit is an mutual aid committed to ensuring employed people are able to keep their housing during this pandemic and afterwards. In LA, their leaders have issued a rent freeze with a 12-month payment plan for back rent, and we believe that our governor needs to do that. We have so many people who have absolutely no income right now, and the stimulus checks have not come in yet, and people are really struggling. I have relatives who have to ask, you know, for help from us and other people, and people that don't even have gas to go to the food drives, so they have to ask for money to get gas. So many people struggling right now, and the least that the government could do is, you know, put a rent freeze so they don't have to worry about all this debt accumulating, because even after this lockdown is lifted, people are going to be expected to pay, you know, the debt that's accumulating, and they shouldn't have to worry about that. So that's one of the things that we are petitioning for. We already have 2,500 signatures on a petition. And then so also we're starting this diaper drive that we already started, and we're trying to get people to donate diapers or money to buy diapers so we can give diapers out to families in need on May 18 at our 2 drive-through locations. And one will be in Manilao at the Manilao Marketplace from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. And then the other one will be at Southern Christian Academy. My parents actually run school in the church, so I'll be running the drive-through at that facility on May 18th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And we're doing this because Catholic Social Service can no longer provide that for their drive. They're only able to do canned food or canned goods right now, and a lot of people I know, mothers that I know, you know, they've been in need. And so I was like, you know what, let's just do a diaper drive because there's so many people in need. I mean, we love to do a drive for all kinds of things, but you know, for this drive, we're just going to focus on the diapers because that seems to be a huge need right now.
Right.
Thankfully, people are still able to go get food and stuff, but yeah, you know, we come from a culture as Pacific Islanders where it's in our culture and our heritage to help our community, and I see a lot of people doing that, and that's really awesome, and we just need to keep doing that.
Right.
That's how we're going to survive.
Yeah, this is a great thing. We're gonna. You can donate. Call 482-8950 or 689-9499 for a pickup. Katie, can you just run through the donations, the types of donations you're asking for?
Okay, yeah. So, disposable diapers, unused, of course, still in the package, or cloth diapers, unused, still in the package, or pull-ups, unused, still in the package, and wipes, all unused, still in the package. Any of those, we accept any of those. We have the flyer. You have the flyer, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
So yeah, the info is there. So yeah, they can call those numbers for more information if they forget or whatever. But yeah, they can even drop it off to the mayor's office in Manila, so the Manila mayor's office.
Okay.
And for those that can drop off, we are willing to come pick up.
Okay.
And we'll have our masks and everything. We're gonna be safe and stuff. But yeah, we can come and pick up donations too.
And we also have a PayPal. It's paypal.me/ right. Para Todosit, which is capital PARA Todos TODUS and HIT.
Yes, and that means for all of us.
Right.
Oh, hi, Katie. Jason Salas here. Thank you for what you're doing. That's an amazing thing. We do have a comment here. Somebody's asking, do you guys accept all types of diapers? Obviously, there are different types.
So Catholic Social Service, at one point they had all kinds. Then they only had like size 5. Now they don't have any. We really encourage, just any size. And we're doing good. We already got a donation of $400 on the first day.
Wow, that's great.
And Sagan, I'm trying to say this right. Sagan, Fanatna Glen, Fino, Chamorro Daycare donated boxes of diapers and wipes. This is all in one day. We already got all this. So, yeah, I'm really confident that there's a lot of people out there that want to help, because some of us are still doing well. And yeah, it's really good to see that people understand that we need to take care of our community.
Right, Katie. And we're so glad that you're off to a great start. And again, we just wanted to bring you on and end the show on a good note and let you know that you guys, I follow what your group is doing. You guys are COVID heroes.
Yeah.
Everyone is. Everyone is working together to help the community.
So God bless you, Katie.
And send us some pictures.
Yeah.
Send us some pictures, please.
As we get closer to the drive, I know you're off to a great start. If you get a lull, maybe we need to put the word out again. You just give me a call, give me a text or whatever, and we'll get you on again, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, Katie.
Take care, Katie.
Wash your hands.
Yes.
Or baby wipe.
You take care. Okay. Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, hey, 10 a.m. Well, there you go.
It's so good to hear what people are doing. Yeah. There's so many people to thank.
So many
and
good
to
examples.
Highlight.
Right, yeah.
Way to go.
So, yeah, we might not be too happy with what's going on in our government, but like we've been saying, Bree, we have the power. Mm-hmm. We're doing what we got to do out here, and it's so great for groups like that. And what's crazy is, so we end the show every day with a good note, and it's actually hard sometimes because there's just so many people out there doing good things. Like, I don't know which one to feature. So.
Yeah. And, even tonight, we've got some good people.
Oh, yeah.
Some good musicians that lent us their voices, and they're performing for all of you at home.
Right.
On our Stay Home Edition, live local Fridays at 6:30 p.m. So many different people. The Vibe Fest people, they reached out. They wanted to participate. So we got 2 musicians, I think in Hawaii and California, who sent us videos. And then we have Matt Laguatnia again.
Nice.
Performing from Afghanistan.
Wow.
And so many others.
It's great. That's 6:30 Stay Home Edition of Live Local Fridays. And thank you again to the artists. This is like the 4th one.
4th, iteration.
Yeah, so thank you guys so much. And again, to our listeners on 93.9, also on Docomo Channel 10 stream, KUAM.com. Thank you guys so much, especially KUAM TV 11 for jumping on the last half of the show. And last but definitely not least, we have received overwhelming support for what we're doing here on our KUAM News Facebook page. I know we're doing this and you guys are doing that. You're putting the comments and but we see it and we feel it, and it really just gives us the juice to go. I used to drink like 5 cups of coffee. Now I only need to drink 2 because you guys are just keeping me pumped up. So, Bree, good job this week.
Good job to you, Christopher.
Good job, Jason.
Joe Sir.
Joe Sir, Ken Sanity from our digital team, but
our entire team.
Right. We've all stepped up. I need a shout out again to the media. And most importantly, I want to say good job to you, the people of Guam. You know what I mean? It's a struggle. We're all trying to hang in there. We're all trying to do our best.
The governor signed the executive order yesterday for another 30 days. We're in this May 9th, possible reopening, gradual reopening.
Right.
We're going to go into possibly PCOR 2.
That's right. We're in PCOR 1 right now. Okay.
PCOR 1.
Okay, so guys, thank you guys. Be safe. We will be back at you Monday. We're going to go have what's called a weekend.
Yeah, we're still going to do news, though.
I know. I meant weekend.
Weekend.
All right. Hey, I want to leave you with a cut from my late party, Savage K. What would we do without you guys out there supporting us? Again, you're giving us that drive, that passion to keep it on, and thank you so much for it. So, Bree, good job.
Good job.
And
bye, everybody. Be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe this weekend.
Wash your hands.
Continue to wear your mask.
My name's Chris. Hasta. Adios.
Bye.